What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. The final show. No, it's never the final show, but it is
Final FANdor.
the final FANdor. And it's not even the final FANdor for the season. It's the final FANdor ever.
Unless they do Andor a so-and-so story.
Bix Colleen, a Jedi story. That's a whole other thing. Wow. I can't believe that we've rode this thing out, and just 4 weeks ago we were, hotly anticipating season 2.
Now it's done.
And I mean, now that it's over, I feel like we should talk about the season as a whole up front, because I would be hard pressed. I mean, my biggest criticism, which I think I spoke to last week or the week before, was the Hollywood rag style talk show. If that's my biggest complaint, then we're well ahead of the game here.
Yep.
At the end of the show, when the final episode wrapped, I had a pretty big smile. And as sad as I was to see the show end, I can't remember, film or television, I cannot recall the last time I felt this satisfied. What'd you guys think of the season as a whole?
Super satisfying as a whole.
Yeah.
It's been like a masterclass in writing, acting, directing, presentation, and everything they do in there. It's just been top notch, the whole thing.
Yeah. There's a weird, so as bittersweet as the ending is,
Yep.
There's a meta level to the bittersweetness, because one worries now that Star Wars won't ever get that good again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
you're
really
right.
feel strongly like they should concentrate on animated properties, because the things they can do and the things that I felt the strongest in this can be done the cheapest in animation. And that's the scope of the cinematography, the level, like the big budget level of the effects. And these aren't, I'm not talking about earth shattering effects. I'm talking about a couple of drunk people driving in the back of a cab through Coruscant. But it doesn't, never once feels like that's CGI or I'm watching this or I'm watching that. I've never seen, or I've seldom seen, where the writing is this good, the acting is this good across the board, the cinematography, the filmmaking, the artistic filmmaking choices, and the top-notch effects all come together so perfectly. Like, I'm a big Rebels simp, but I don't know that I've ever seen anything this good in my career as a nerd.
We talk about Star Wars, and I've said it before, there is a flavor of Star Wars now, I think, for everybody, between the various live action projects in film and television and the animated stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's sometimes you feel like it's apples to oranges, right? Because, I'm the first one, when people start arguing about stuff in Star Wars, and I'm the first one to put my old man hat on and space wizards and laser swords. And here we have a show that has no space wizards and laser swords. And I'm with you, Hank. This might be some of, if not the best writing in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I saw a meme earlier this week, and it's based on a Family Guy thing where a guy's standing there with a stick poking Tony Gilroy saying, "Do more Star Wars."
Do more. And, that's I would love that. You know, for a guy who's admittedly said that he's not really into Star Wars, right?
Wouldn't know it.
And then just like, "Here, hold my beer. Let me do this
You
thing."
know, like you said, they're doing the media tour, and a lot of what he's been saying posted is a lot of the success he feels strongly is due to the fact that he was never a Star Wars fan, and that he on purpose hired a mix of people who had no interest. Like he said, like some people were like, "Yeah, Star Wars, I'll do anything to be on your project," and
Yeah.
other people he had to court them because they were
Mm.
like, "I want nothing to do with Star Wars."
But,
And that
yeah,
seems weird to us,
it does, it does. I'm
but
making a Star Wars project, but I don't want it to feel like a Star Wars project.
so if there's something to be said about fresh blood, I guess, or a fresh take, something where all the preconceived notions don't come with it. It's tough to create that kind of art in a vacuum because we're going to be so hard on these properties. If anything, maybe this is a gateway to this type of like like Lost was for TV for a long time.
Yeah.
It for me that was sort of where they went. Okay, the audiences aren't stupid. We don't need to coddle. We can actually do an intelligent thing and have people follow along.
I
Uh,
mean, when I look at it through the science fiction lens, and it's like, when was the last time that a science fiction television property got this much acclaim?
Never.
oh
Probably the Battlestar Galactica reboot,
Maybe, yeah.
which for the years that it was on television was widely regarded as not just the best science fiction on TV, it was also spoken of as the best TV show, period.
Mm.
yeah, well, we're sort of in that age though, so it's like infinitely present tense,
Yeah. Yeah.
where the best thing is the best thing happening now because shows weren't ever most things were universally panned and don't get that like Star Trek the original series is a perfect example. It
Didn't
doesn't
find its
get
footing
cult
until
status until the 80s,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
where people are like, "Oh no, this thing is the bee's knees," and it's been in syndication for 20 years now. So it's something else. Like I don't know if Van Gogh is recognized as a genius in his lifetime, right?
Right.
Mm.
And it's something else that media is. Unfortunately, it doesn't that feeling doesn't last because the next thing comes along. But it's amazing for the people involved to be heralded like this in real time. It's kind of cool to see.
Mhm.
I wanna take a minute, and I wanna speak directly to all of the creatives who are involved in, the production of Andor over the last 2 seasons. And I'm talking, like, from Tony Gilroy, writing and developing showrunner, all of the writers, all of the directors, all of our actors and producers, all the way up to and including Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, who takes
Mm.
an awful lot of flack.
Biff the sound guy.
Yeah. And I just wanna say, talking about sort of the media tour and just all the stuff that's come out, in the last week since we had it. You know, Tony Gilroy quote from Tony Gilroy earlier this week says, "There is no show without Kathy, and, she takes an inordinate amount of heat that is perhaps undeserved." And he frames it this way, he's like, "Everything I wanted to do, she let me do. Hey, I wanna put the first episode, I wanna start it in a brothel. Okay. Okay, I wanna kill 2 cops. Okay." So, I mean, you can't discount that without her, we wouldn't have had this incredible piece of Star Wars, history. So, I just wanna say thanks to everybody who was involved in making it. And another big thanks to Tony for, making us as podcasters and live streamers feel recognized for considering the type of workload that we were going to embark on. And here we are at the end of that.
Well, I have to say, like heading into the fourth week after 3 weeks of this,
Yeah.
this isn't the kind of show that you do a review of. Like realistically,
Yeah.
it's not like it's more akin to something like it's not akin to anything, but it's so far from like an Easter egg heavy sci-fi dipped Star Wars. Now we milk it. We try to find the little eggs and things that we do where the set designers sneak a thing in and stuff. But it's I don't know if it's you guys have found it tough, but beyond being able to go like verbatim, blah 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 blah, it doesn't lend itself to just like a simple review. It's more like, how did that make me feel? And
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
probably going to be crying by the end of my episode. I'll tell you right now.
I would be lying if I said that I was not without, a little bit of mist, on the watch because, man, I was.
Well, an emotional gut punch
You know,
multiple times
I
over.
can't recall another period of Star Wars that really had me this emotional, but it did, and, God, so fulfilling. Alright, with that being said,
What are
shall
they
we get
talking about?
shall we get to, the breakdown this week?
I
Yeah.
suppose we should.
All right. As always, we like to start off the show with some highlights for the year that we are visiting. This week, we pick up in one BBY, which is kind of like, is it one BBY or is it zero BBY? Do we finish at zero BBY?
I don't think
Well,
there. See, that's the. I've always had that. And no, we're gonna get in the weeds. 20 bit here. There's no such thing as zero
It goes from
BBY.
one negative to one positive.
Exactly. It really
Okay,
does.
that's fair.
The moment the Death Star explodes,
That's
that
zero.
is zero,
That's the
and everything
zero.
else
Okay, okay.
is either side of that. But yeah,
All right. So, after having a very, what I thought was a pretty funny discussion earlier this week, I chose not to put up a slide that said watch season 4 of Rebels. But
yeah,
ultimately, like,
yeah,
all of the coolest, most important things, that lead up to where we are
yeah.
happened
It
in.
was funny in the chat where I started listing things from
Yeah,
Rebels, and you're like,
yeah, yeah.
okay, the whole season.
Yeah. I chose not to do that, but I did pull some of the best moments. Let's talk about the death of Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah,
This, of course, is part of the larger plot line to liberate Lothal, which was sort of under siege back in season 1. He gets his vision back for all of what, 2 seconds before he
yeah.
meets
The
his end.
Force gives him his eyes back. Crazy.
Right on the heels of that, we've got, Ezra Bridger uses his connection, with animals to convince a pod of Purgles to attack Grand Admiral Thrawn's Star Destroyer, the Chimera, which ends up sending them all into exile, of course, at Peridia that we pick up later on in Ahsoka.
mhm.
So, yeah, that's, very important. Now, a little bit more, politically speaking, we have the surrendering of the Darksaber to Lady Bo-Katan Kryze. And then we have this other event. The bounty hunter organization known as the Hidden Hand, unsuccessfully, I might add, contracts the assassination of Darth Vader. Because you thought, what? What were you thinking?
We can take them.
They were close.
Until they weren't.
Yeah, they weren't.
And I thought I'd keep it a little bit closer to home this week. This one being kind of important. Because we didn't get everybody coming back.
Mhm.
And I know that Tony talked about trying to bring back legacy characters and how it can be difficult and stuff. So for those of you who didn't pick up on who was around the table, let me go through that with you. We have the formation of the Alliance High Command. Now, the High Command is made up of both a civilian and military component. At the top of the whole organization, we have Mon Mothma, who serves as the Chancellor. Followed up, her number 2, Bail Organa, who is the Secretary of the Cabinet. And then we have, now this actor did not make it back for the show, but Noor Jabal, who is our Finance Minister. Then we have Vaspar, the Ministry. Sorry, I flipped those two.
Yeah.
Vaspar did not make it back, the Minister of Industry. And Tynra
Yeah.
Palmo, the Minister of Education. Now, our military leadership, by the way, none of this was all in one place. It was not convenient for me to put this together. I had to source several different sources to pull all this together. So, this first one, there's a question of whether he comes along later or whether he's there before the Battle of Yavin. For all intents and purposes, I'm going with he was there the whole time.
Okay.
Chief Aaron Kraken, he's the chief of intelligence. Of course, we have Admiral Radis, who's in charge of the fleet. General Antok Merrick, that's our starfighter command. General Jan Dodonna, who is the sector command. He is also the base commander at Yavin 4. We have General Bakam Graphis, who's responsible for ordnance and supply. And finally, the most lowly of jobs, General Dustel Forel, who is our support services general. That doesn't even touch on the other generals that we know are around, like Harrison Dula and Draven,
Mm-hmm.
who has more lines than anybody else. But
Yeah,
no, he's
Draven
not.
seems like he's high up in this sort of the situation there.
Strangely enough. Well, I mean, there's
Maybe akin to Riken on Hoth,
well, yeah,
like a duty commander.
maybe. All right, let's get into this one. This one is called Make It Stop. It is the 10th episode of season 2. This one is written by Tom Bissell. Now, looking at Tom's IMDb, he's primarily a video game writer. Most notably, he worked on Batman Arkham Origins, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and Gears 5, where he was the lead writer. Speaking of Gears, did everybody see today, just a few hours ago, Dave Bautista is going to star in a live-action Gears of War for Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
Just that you put that in the chat. I hadn't seen that yet.
Ah, fair enough. Our director this week is Alonso Ruiz Palacios. He's a Mexican director who has directed a bunch of stuff that, unless you speak Spanish, you've probably never heard of. However, for all of the Spanish-speaking audience members out there, he is known for 2014's Güeros, 2018's Museum. He did a cop movie in 2021 and La Coquina in 2024. Our episode originally aired on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. We have an advertised runtime of 51 minutes or an actual runtime of 40 minutes and 32 seconds without titles or credits. And in the tradition that has been established this entire season, the terrible synopsis reads, Lonnie Young taps out, Dedra closes in, Luthen scrambles, and Clea delivers. Wow, does she ever?
Mm-hmm.
All right, our episode opens up in Luthen's gallery, which has a name, by the way.
Do we ever find out?
Galactic Antiquities.
Okay.
Yeah, according to the databank. Now, the secret radio is chiming, and Clea answers the call. Both Clea and Luthen end up preparing for a meeting. Clea is to follow Luthen and observe him from a distance, and both of them go armed with blasters. At the same time, we observe a very nervous Lonnie Young exiting the ISB headquarters building. And now I have to ask, knowing the amount of preparation that went into this meeting, like the way that I wouldn't say she was paranoid, but her concern for Luthen, how many of these other secret Coruscanti missions was Clea 100 meters away with a bead on whoever he was? You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
Like, was she standing there further down the catwalk during that initial?
Well, that's what I kind of wonder.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think she'd be there for the underground one, but like, what about meeting Cassian to send him to Gorman? Like, I could easily see her a couple levels up, looking down. There's an interesting bit of dialogue in this sequence where she says to him, promise me if it doesn't look perfect, you won't engage. And Luthen kind of begins to crack here because he says, I think we've used up all the perfect. Yeah. It's not necessarily what he says, but how he says it. There's a crack in the facade. I know we saw him sort of coming unhinged last week, but this is a softer, more thoughtful, maybe. There's the slightest of smile from Clea, and we see the cracks begin to form in their relationship dynamic. This is our talk about Easter eggs. First little Easter egg I want to point out this week is when she goes to the drawer to pull out the firearm, she grabs that little party pistol that she takes. There's a DL-44 laying in there, and my God, is that a good looking one. That is probably one of the Han Solo hero props. It definitely has a hero level of detail on it.
Mm-hmm.
And not the Greedo killer that we've been seeing through a lot of the series.
No.
Yeah, because a lot of people are sporting that particular model.
Yeah. It makes a leap from Dedra's hand to Partagaz. It's almost like the same prop, right?
Part of grazed him in the head.
That's funny. Okay, somewhere in a city park, Luthen meets with Lonnie. the Lonnie, the double agent, tells him that Dedra is putting a team together, and he thinks that she's coming after him. But it gets worse because Lonnie tells Luthen that he has been burned and they'll be after him soon enough. He says he knows everything now, and he won't tell Luthen what it is until Luthen addresses the matter of his safety. He talks about having his family.
Yeah, like I got my wife and daughter ready to go.
So
Get me the hell out of here.
There's a question of, and this is just me thinking, are they on Coruscant, or has he got them buried somewhere off-world?
His wife and kid?
Yeah.
I would think they're still on world.
That sucks for them.
Let me secure this meeting. We will come get you and we will leave.
So let me a follow-up question now. Knowing the fate of all of our players within the ISB and how their fates turn out, now that Lonnie has been outed as a double agent, does the Empire go and round up his family?
I can't see them not doing that.
For sure
they're safely tucked away. So that's his line there, safely tucked away. But
at the same time, they go off about Clea knowing to avoid where to be seen.
Everybody's got friends everywhere.
Yeah.
His family probably wouldn't know that. They'd probably still be like, oh, well, we just go down to the grocery store or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
And carry on until it's ready.
I just wonder if they put any effort into trying to track her down to question her, like his wife. I kind of think they do. I don't know how much effort they put into it, but I think they would follow that lead.
100%.
Yeah, the moment they find out that he has Dedra's code cylinders, that's all that they need, really, realistically.
That's an interesting choice of language, because they say that he says, I've had her code cert, I presume short for certification,
right,
for over a year now. Do you think that means he's gotten a cylinder and
made
like gotten? Yeah.
Yes, especially in the last few hours.
Yeah. Lonnie ends up telling Luthen that the Emperor's energy program is a lie. We all knew that. I've known that since the 90s. He tells him that it's a lie and that Krennic has been building a weapon for over a decade. We see the framing of it at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Funny, though, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, we don't really get there's no indication that there hasn't been any passage of time.
Mm.
So you don't know if that's like
10 years.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
And do we even know if it's Death Star 1 or Death Star 2? Because the second one,
they say where they were built simultaneously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So which one were we looking at?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm. I think it's implied it was Death Star 1, but
more than likely. Because the one we will see, or I guess we saw last week, right?
Yeah.
Is 1, because it is the full sphere, right?
Yeah. Of course it is.
Without some missing apparatus.
Lonnie goes on to shed a little bit more insight about this, and he says that the PORD, with all of its increased sentences, what was happening on Gorman, was all a front so that they could strip mine the planet for a mineral. He says the Empire's presence on Jeddah is not a hunt for partisans. It's because they need kyber crystals. Turning his attention back to the safety thing, Luthen says they'll flee to Yavin where they will both be safe. Well, then we cut to Luthen walking down a set of stairs away from the park, and then we cut back to a long shot of the park bench. Lonnie sits there motionless as a man unleashes a loth cat. The cat, now this one blew me away because it's like, did he just call the cat Bix? No, the cat's name is Pix. Pix with a P.
P-I-X.
Like a pixie.
Wanders over to Lonnie. The camera lifts up as the cat lifts its head to sniff the air. Lonnie is dead with a blaster hole in his overcoat over his chest.
Nothing undercuts the murder of an informant like the cuteness of a loth cat.
I mean, you can't tell anybody if you're dead.
Exactly. But at the same time, he was right to withhold the information. He should have continued.
It makes me wonder,
and I'll tell you.
It makes me wonder how long he was sitting on that. He said he's had the code cert for a year, but then
he said he was also busted.
Oh, that's true.
And it'll come up in my episode, the length of time.
If they knew that he knew what he knew, they wouldn't have let him out of the building.
No.
Right.
Okay. Back at the gallery, Luthen, sorry, what are we doing here? Oh my God, I just jumped ahead. Cut to another staircase. somewhere else in the city where Clea and Luthen stand face to face. He has her memorize a set of words with instructions to meet him after the radio at the gallery has been destroyed. Gorman, Scarif, Kyber, Krennic, Engineer Galen Erso, super weapon based in Scarif, fuel from Gorman, Kyber from Jeddah, ISB Krennic, Galen Erso. Clea argues with him, but Luthen insists that he's the one that has to go back to the gallery so that she can meet with him later. The two part ways on the staircase, with Clea stopping to look back at him, a look of confoundment on her face, if not outright like, uh-oh, I'm worried.
Mm-hmm.
At the gallery, Luthen pours a silvery, acidic fluid over the secret radio, and smoke begins to rise up from it. There's a moment where Luthen pauses just before the pour, where you kind of think, God, what is he thinking? How many years of his life were driven by this device and the communications that came from it? But then the front door chimes, and it can only be one person. And I don't know about you guys, but as soon as the doorbell went off, I'm like, it's Dedra. It couldn't be anybody else.
It's not Cassian.
No. Dedra enters the gallery, and like the two master chess players they are, the game begins. And it's an elegant, deadly dance full of euphemism and metaphor. And there's that whole thing of, is it all real?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, right now, there are only 2 items of questionable provenance. Care to guess which ones?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's them.
It's the 2 of them.
He's talking about them.
Yes.
Yeah. Taking up an ancient knife, Luthen presents it to Dedra, and she removes it from its sheath. He calls it a Natolan bleeder. It has a crystalline blade and a Natolan head carved into the pommel. They banter about whether or not it's real before she hands it back, asking Luthen if he owns everything in the gallery. She then opens a case and she plunks the MacGuffin of the entire show onto the lid, presenting him with the ruined Imperial Starpath unit. The jig is up and all veils are dropped. Luthen pulls at her very soul, accusing Dedra of being terrified of freedom, while Dedra seethes back at him, calling him disgusting and a sower of chaos. Dedra tells him the building is surrounded and he's finished, but Luthen tells her it's too late. He says the rebellion doesn't live here anymore. It's flown away. It's everywhere now, and there is an entire galaxy out there to disgust her. I love the choice of words. Placing the Starpath unit back into the case, Dedra spots the smoke emanating from the radio. Drawing her blaster, she asks him, "What have you done?" And she orders Luthen to face her. But it's too late. Luthen pulls the Natolan bleeder, covered in his own blood, from his chest and falls to the floor. It seems that even in death, Luthen can still sow a little bit of chaos, as Dedra orders her team to move, and suddenly the gallery is full of Imperial troops. A medical team works to stabilize Luthen, as some of the troops rush to the back of the gallery to preserve what's left of the evidence. Outside, a crowd has gathered, including Clea, who watches helplessly as Luthen is loaded into an Imperial ship and taken away. All right, a couple of things going on this week, and I have an update. But we'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at our Natolan bleeder. Thanks to the Star Wars databank at StarWars.com this week, we have a very good look at the Natolan bleeder. I love that it's got a little chibi, like a little chibi happy face on it.
Mm-hmm.
Natolans are the same aquatic species that we saw introduced in Attack of the Clones, or sorry, in the Phantom Menace. Master
Kit Fisto.
Kit Fisto. Yeah. The other one, and this one gathered, well, let me talk about that one last. I want to talk about the Imperial transport. This is just a quick one. The physical set piece for the transport was a redressing of the Preox Morlana security tactical pods from season 1.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Star
Yes.
Wars ambulance.
Yes, that is a Gungan skull.
Look what I found.
Yeah. Mason, I feel so good. Okay. Everybody saw the skull, right?
Yes.
This morning, it came to my attention, and I looked. Everybody see the piece of jewelry in its snout?
the shiny looking thing there. Yeah.
There's like a gold thing embedded in the bone, like almost like a brand or a which leads me to believe slave,
Probably.
Gungan slave. I didn't recognize the mark. This morning, I can't take credit for this because I did not discover this. It came up in my news feed. I'm going to do a little screen share here. Let me switch back to this one. Let me add this. That image, that piece of jewelry embedded in the bone is the sigil of Darth Revan's Sith Empire from Legends.
Ooh.
Does that mean is Revan canon? He's been canon for a while now, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, Clone Wars cartoon, animated.
They had, do you think they had Gungan slaves? Do you think this Gungan was a Jedi that went with Revan into the unknown regions before he turned?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many questions.
The
I
obvious,
100% know that it's a nod to Darth Jar
of
Jar.
course, it's a
Yeah,
yeah.
The legend of Darth Jar Jar grows.
he's the Source Jedi. Source. I can't even say that. Source, Source Sith. Whoa, that's 5 times fast.
Oh man.
Source Sith.
Um, obvious jokes aside, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to come up a lot. I don't want to talk about it too much, but like the number of other connections in the like there's always been a Naboo connection in the gallery
Yeah.
from season 1 all the way
Yes, yeah,
Most
yeah.
recently saw her crown get added to
I
the
mean,
wall.
a
Yeah.
Gungan skull is quite dark, though. I
That's
mean,
true.
even without a Sith
That's true.
Empire sigil welded to its beak,
That's
a
true.
Gungan skull is quite dark.
That makes me wonder the other like it looks like there might be other metal like in the bone as well, like under the eye orbit. So
I mean,
I don't know.
we're jumping at stuff here, but why not? Like we saw in Ahsoka, is this another instance where Night Sisters have brought back a dead Gungan? And then, we get the gold trim similar to refashioning the armor.
Oh, I don't know.
Just
I don't.
reanimated Gungan slaves.
No, there wouldn't be a Night Sister connection here though. No, not because the Sith Empire. That's like almost 4,000 years
Mm,
prior to the events of now.
fair enough.
All right. Let's move on, shall we? Okay, at the ISB headquarters, Supervisor Heert arrives late for a meeting. Outside the briefing room, he's met by Legret. Major Partagaz tells him that Dedra went on a raid on who she believed was Axis, and it went poorly. Heert has every right to be upset because Dedra has already been warned about overstepping. But it's not the Axis raid that has him bothered, and he tells the Major how Lonnie's body was discovered in a park across town. The reaction from Partagaz is almost like genuine, like he's shocked.
Sorry about your friend, buddy.
Is that it?
I think so.
Or is he shocked as a commander, like he's a high-ranking ISB official and he's dead in a park? Like, how did this happen on Coruscant?
Well, I mean, and then there's the trail to the information is right back to him. I mean,
Wow.
he's
Yeah.
he's the head of ISB. He's going to connect those dots very quickly.
Almost immediately.
His whole continence changes in these 3 episodes.
That's true.
Yeah, like
That's true.
he's revealed to be stupid smart. Like, oh, you need a plan going forward? Bang, there you go. Run with it.
That's true. Meanwhile, at Galactic Antiquities, Imperials scour the entire place as they gather evidence, including the FANdor Hallcraft. I wonder what happened to that ship. We talked about how cool that ship was, that it had this advanced artificial intelligence that we'd never seen before in Star Wars. What did the Empire do with it?
Took it to Exegol.
Took it to Exegol. Oh, maybe Mount Tentis.
There you go.
Hopefully, it was some of the less smart ISB agents that just scuttled it without looking at the tech.
Can you imagine that showing up at a police auction?
Railgun thing.
Like oh my god! Yeah.
From fucking season 1.
The
tech they don't have.
What do we call it? It was like a chaff.
It's like a chaff gun. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them, a woman, she sets up at the smoldering radio and prepares to salvage what she can from it. I got another little Easter egg here, which isn't a big one, but I thought it was a nice nod. We get some. This is an Imperial scanning crew. If you didn't put that together, which
Mm.
I thought that's awesome because all they did in the first movie was put a box on the floor and get knocked out.
Mhm.
But now, look, they have all this wonderful high tech scanning equipment, and that's what they're doing. They're scanning. Clea stands alone in the silence of the safe house. Going into a hidden compartment within the ceiling, she removes a bag and begins to inventory the contents. It looks like electronic components. As she handles the equipment, she's taken back to the moment where she first met Luthen. On a war ravaged planet, Imperial troops slaughter the locals while a de aged Stellan Skarsgård takes a moment of reprieve inside of his unit's ship. The camera perspective is low and from behind some grating as if someone is watching him. We learn that Luthen was once Sergeant Lear of the Imperial Army, and it looks like he's at his breaking point. Switching off his radio, he slumps into a jump seat and he takes a slug from a flask inside his jacket. As the sounds of civilians screaming and automatic blaster fire echo outside, Sergeant Lear calls out repeatedly, "Make it stop, make it stop." Then again, in what I presume is his native language, he says several times, "Rosh ne Lutz, Rosh ne Lutz." Eventually, Lear is discovered by another member of his unit who snaps his radio back on and informs him that their captain wants the entire street to burn. After the other soldier leaves, there's a clanking of metal followed by a sharp gasp from an unseen voice. Lear draws a knife and he goes to the panel. Removing it, he discovers a disheveled little girl hiding there. But rather than kill her, he signals her to shh and he puts the panel back to conceal her again. Back at the safe house, Clea composes herself and, with a look of determination, leaves the safe house on one final mission. What did you guys think of the de-aged Stellan?
It was
Good.
pretty seamless. I
Yeah.
I think
It,
we've hit.
like they just smoothed him out just a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it did not take me out of it at all.
I mean, after Dial of Destiny, I don't think. I mean, it's very easy to fool us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That was so good too.
yeah, it was very good. Yeah, I don't think. I don't think it's going to get harder and harder to tell. This tech is only going to get more cheaper and more seamless.
Mhm.
You can pick
I
some of
am
those
not. I am
really
not
weird looking
a.
Patrick Stewarts from the X Men
Oh yeah,
series.
yeah, 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 yeah. I didn't put this together until it was like right in my face. But Rail spelt backwards is Lear, or Lear spelt backwards is Rail. Luthen
Mm,
Rail. And the allegory that he's essentially King Lear.
mm.
I'm not a Shakespeare guy. Did anybody else pick up on that
I did
before this?
not.
No, I must admit I didn't. The Louis Riel thing occurred to me. Luthen Rail. Louis
Yeah,
Riel.
I did see that. I saw
Yeah.
that in a subreddit from season one, and people talking about interesting, a little Canadian connection too, right? Louis Riel, the revolutionary. Uh, King Lear had three daughters, and it was basically who do you love, baby? And so I'm like, if we equate the three daughters from King Lear to our characters in Andor, I peg them as Mon, Clea, and Vel,
Mm.
the three women closest to him through the entire series.
I could also see it being Clea, Cinta, and Vel.
Clea, Cinta, and Vel.
Whereas Mon
Oh,
Mothma is more like a contemporary because Cinta, she went full bore into it,
that's true.
doing full missions for him, and didn't talk to Vel for a year.
That is true. That is true. Absolutely, Josh. Lear backwards is Rail. All right.
Rosh
I
Nelutz.
got another one for you. Our young Clea is played by April Woods. She has 5 professional acting credits, all of them in television, by the way.
Hmm.
She has a recurring role in the post World War II teen drama Mallory Towers, where she's played Felicity Rivers for 34 episodes.
Hmm.
But she also has appeared as Saskia in one episode of the Netflix series Shadow and Bone.
Hmm.
I am not familiar with her work, so she is new to me here.
Me either.
We cut back to Kalea's flashback, where after a brief exchange with another Imperial, Luthen tells him, "I'll be right along." After one of their ship systems reboots, he then removes the grating again, and he offers a hand to the as yet unnamed little girl. Adult Kalea makes her way to a hospital, the hospital where Luthen was taken after the events at the gallery. Now, there is a heavy Imperial presence here with stormtroopers and ISB tactical agents posted all around. Inside the facility, Dedra meets with Luthen's attending physician and demands to know when she can have him for questioning. The doctor tells him that the isolation room is the only thing keeping him alive. Dedra asserts her authority, calling this an elevated ISB priority, and says that they'll be taking over the entire hallway and everyone needs to be cleared out. The doctor says the floor is full of her patients, but Dedra doesn't care, saying, "Then you'll do a better job of moving them than we will."
That's fucking
That's cold.
cold.
That's cold, Dedra.
It's like you move them or we'll
That
move
is
them.
very cold. All right, Easter
Not
egg
as cold as
time.
the floors in Narkina.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. When you don't have your shoes on. Our hospital. Our hospital is named after the High Chancellor or Supreme Chancellor Lena So.
I caught that. I legit
You just
caught
looked
that.
and read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it took me a second. Then I was like, that's the name. I know the name.
I
And
think
then
it's cool. Another callback, of course, to the High Republic event, mostly in Lucasfilm Publishing. Um, we didn't really get to see any of her through the other show that we don't want to talk about.
no
But anyway, it's named after her. And then this is our ISB tactical agent. And of course, we're action figure guys. So I had to put this up
beauty.
because unfortunately or fortunately, the Star Wars Black Series action figure is the best look that we get of these guys. And they're kind of cool.
It's a great look.
it's another variant of Trooper, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Another division.
They're a mix of new and repurposed armor parts. So initially, when I saw them, I'm like, oh, they're just wearing all white shore trooper armor, but that's not true. It looks like where are they here? Oh yeah, mix of new and used. We've got the army trooper chest piece. We've got upper shoulder and upper arms from the shore trooper. The forearms are new. The belt is new. And then the shin guards look like a modified version of the shore trooper.
Mm.
All of that over a traditional black Imperial Army uniform.
Yeah.
You got to wonder. Like this thought occurred to me, and it might have been after I smoked too much, and it might have been late at night. But
Sure.
is it like a logistics or a cost thing that not every soldier in has stormtrooper armor? Like it's like they gave these guys what they could. We don't have full stormtrooper armor for you guys, but or is it like I know it's to sell figures and I know it looks damn cool, but from a practicality standpoint, you think and the impression that we certainly got from the first three movies when we were kids is that the
Yeah.
stormtrooper was the standard issue.
I agree with you on
You
that.
know what I mean? So it's I wonder if this is realistically more real like it's about scarcity.
Could be.
From a practical standpoint, though, like these guys are no worse off than the Imperial Army trooper,
No.
like the Mud Trooper.
No.
In fact, the Mud Trooper is
Well,
arguably more protected because he has a helmet.
Mhm.
I have the same sort of questions about that. Like, you know, when you look at the trooper variants, it almost doesn't make sense for them to go. And I love it, and I want a million different variants on my
Yeah,
shelf.
yeah.
But it almost doesn't make sense, like you know, to not standardize like we sort of had thought they did. Like they were just cookie cutter troops in
I
the
agree with you on that
standard
one.
armor.
I don't know why.
Certainly, probably could see better here, and they probably you know as sort of explained to be a shock trooper, like a hard hitting Marine first in the door stormtrooper kind of thing, whereas an ISB tactical officer is more
Like a
like a
standard
DEA
police
I
agent
feel
or an
like I was gonna
FBI
say this
agent.
is like your CIA field
Right,
operative. Yeah,
right, yeah. So they
yeah.
would have to be a little bit more
Because
mobile.
even in like, and I'll bring this is an example too, like of that whole standardized thing, and it's a figure that I desperately need and I can't get now.
Yeah,
The Imperial Patrol Trooper from Solo. That's
Yeah,
a motorcycle cop, and it's basically a fancy stormtrooper variant.
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
gorgeous. I wish I had one.
It's very expensive on the
It is.
aftermarket.
It's
Yeah,
so is.
it's a rudely expensive figure on the aftermarket.
For a further thing though,
Yeah.
your stormtrooper, the helmet dehumanizes them, right? And if these guys are like,
Yeah.
for more of a street level thing where they could
I
actually,
wouldn't think that that's the case here though.
no,
No, because like the CIA doesn't have like field ops running around,
yeah, but like
downtown.
when they're, how do I put this? When they're going for like a hard hitting one, they
Yeah.
wear masks, right? Like take
Yeah,
away that
okay,
human
sure,
element.
sure.
But these guys, face fully exposed, there is an element of, come out with your hands up,
Maybe this is just
give up peacefully.
a lower order of dress that maybe like for more traditional conventional operations, maybe
Yeah,
there's an add-on, like here's a helmet that
yeah,
you don't wear it all the time.
I just figured
See?
it was like sort of like the Canadian military where we can't afford helmets today, boys. We're gonna
First man,
we're
take
just
the
gonna ship
rifle.
you out with
Second
one
man, take
shoelace
the bullets.
and share this bullet, please.
That's right.
maybe yes.
This figure, by the way, was first showed off just not too long ago back at Celebration Japan, and I believe
I hope.
has already been up for pre-order. So we
Yeah,
should be
on it's
seeing
on
it.
Amazon right now for pre-order, like
We should be seeing it
dropping August
relatively
1st, I
soon.
think.
There you go. Yeah.
And it's very sexy.
If it comes with a second head, I might have to get two of them. I don't know.
It has the friggin' removable hat for a
Removable
change,
hat.
Ooh,
which is very
that's
nice. At least you
options
can
right
get two
there.
looks, right?
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's cool, Josh. Yeah. RCMP look pretty tough. In the Red Surge, which is completely ceremonial now. But other than that, they look like normal cops. Okay. Where are we going next? Let's go over here, shall we? Sporting a fake hand injury, Clea enters the hospital. Several security cameras catch her as she drifts through the halls. Finding a locker room, Clea uses one of the devices from the hidden stash to open a locker. In this context, it becomes clear that the device is similar to like a scomp jack,
Hmm.
but without the prod.
Mhm.
Not finding what she was looking for in the first locker, she cracks a second one and is relieved to find a complete hospital uniform. Walking through the corridors, Clea stops to observe a lift across a courtyard, and it goes up to the 19th floor. On the lift is Supervisor Hirt, along with his attendant and an ISB marshal. Dedra moves to meet them and immediately launches into how she'll have Luthen ready for questioning by tomorrow night. Hirt chides her for conducting the raid on his day off. You waited for my day off. Dedra says that she has a call into Major Partagaz, and Hirt sarcastically says, I'll have that forwarded for you. She's like, what does that mean? You're under arrest. She demands to talk to the Major Partagaz, but Hirt says it's Partagaz who sent us. And Dedra goes with them without incident. All right, let's get into some more Easter eggs, shall we? So yeah, I equate this to a scomp jack. It's like the
Feel like a
inverse.
universal lockpick kit
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you didn't see it, we got a Bacta tank in one of the rooms
Yeah, we
as
sure
you walk
Where's
did.
that?
by, or the reflection
That's
of a
not a
Bacta
Snoke
tank.
in there.
No.
You would think there would be more of those strewn about the hospital, though.
You would think so,
But
considering how it's the universal salve, right? Like
yeah,
you
but
got a little
we
ale,
didn't
put that
exactly
on.
go room to room either. So
No, no, no. I got another medical thing coming up too. The other thing we get is this person.
hmm,
I don't know if it's male or female, but it is definitely reptilian.
Yeah, it's
And
not Gorn.
I question, is this our first live action appearance of a Barabel?
hmm,
Not Barbell, Barabel.
Mm.
maybe.
It might be.
Could be.
Barabels first appeared in the Timothy Zahn Dark Force Rising. That's the third book in the original Zahn trilogy. In Legends, they are known to be very territorial and quite tough. In fact, there's an archetype for them called the Shock Boxer.
Hmm.
They tend to compete in combat sports. So yeah, I am of the impression that this is a Barabel. Until I'm disproven, that's what I'm going with.
Well, maybe we'll get another one in the next season of Mandalorian or whatever.
Oh, maybe.
If they go back to like the fighting thing where they had the two Gamorreans,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
nice. See a
yeah.
Gamorrean versus a A Barabel.
Barabel. Yeah, that would be very cool.
Moving on to the next round.
In another hallway inside the hospital, Clea finds a woman left alone in a hover chair. Clea grabs the chair along with the woman, adding them to her disguise, and presses on further into the hospital. Cut back to young.
Ouch.
What's that? Yeah.
Ouch.
Cut back to young Clea and Lear, now on a forested planet where they try and sell an artifact to a dealer. Although Lear is the one to begin the negotiation, it's young Clea that closes the deal, managing to get the dealer to come up to 18,000 credits from her original offer of just 7,000. As they leave the dealer, Clea asks, "Am I your daughter now?" He replies, "When it's useful, we'll be whoever we have to be. It won't always be up to us. I'm Luthen now, you're Clea, everything else is up for grabs." And she's like, "I don't know how I feel about that."
Mm.
She speaks, I don't know how old this actor is, but like she speaks like well above her age, what her age suggests.
Oh, certainly.
Based on her bargaining ability, she's well above her age.
Well, this is another thing. We've talked about this, the question of who's in charge here.
Yeah, because he was almost ready to take the low offer, right? Like, okay, we got a little bit, let's go.
Yeah,
She's like,
yeah.
no. This is worth this. You're gonna pay this.
This scene illustrates to us that it's been Clea all along. She's the one that's had the brain for everything. And we do get some confirmation of that again from the media tour, where Tony has come out and basically said, yeah, it's been her all along. But Luthen does play a role in that. Like his role is basically to teach her, what does he say? Notice everything and understand that there is a choice and that there are consequences to those choices.
Yeah.
All right. As they leave the dealer. Oh yeah. She asks, "Am I your daughter now?" We just cut through that. Okay. Another Easter egg.
I have a quote here. I was looking for it. I was
Oh,
not
sure. Go ahead.
finding your own,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's from the YouTube Declassified. Did you guys watch that this week?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
Ooh.
I did not, because I stayed up and watched the opening sequence of Rogue One
So
because I wanted to see
Elizabeth
the Kafrene thing.
Dulao was asked about the father-daughter nature of her relationship with Luthen, and she said, this is a quote, "For it to become that, it would mean that Clea forgives him for having done that to her family. There are parts of Clea that really hate this man. That day is not going anywhere, and it will always be between them, but love grows around it."
Yes.
That's a pretty cool line. That she has never forgiven him for what the Empire did to her family.
So here's another question: is it the Empire that she's mad at, or did he personally kill her family?
I mean, I just read it. Like she never lets go of the hate she has for him.
Yeah,
because you got to assume he was out on the street during whatever the hell they were doing.
absolutely.
And like all of that assaulting his senses cracked him.
Well,
sent him back into the ship because he needs to get away from it.
And then there's that whole sequence with the first guy. He's like, there was, a basement and there must have been 50 of them in there. And he's like, I heard it. Right. So like, that's not,
because he's
metaphorically, that's not Luthen's
we got
first.
them all. We got all 50 of them.
Yeah. That's not his first basement is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Yeah.
When you're ordered to murder civilians, and that's really what we're talking about.
Yeah.
100%.
That
The level of exhaustion and something about his continence was of a man who has done this one too many times.
Yeah. And I think that he was ready. Like he was at the end. He was at his end right there.
Yeah.
Until he found her. And then that's like, oh, well, there's a reason to keep going.
What's Josh saying there?
My nephew came to visit and left earlier today. He came to my collection room and made the same face that he did when he saw my collection when he was a kid. It was great.
Nice.
Nice. All right. So, oh yeah, Easter egg. The alien woman who everybody's freaking out over, calling her ET.
No.
Not an ET.
She's a little grandma.
Not an ET.
Elliot.
If the not to say that they don't look similar, because they absolutely do.
They do look, yeah.
Absolutely do.
Less monkey-like.
Yes. The long legs kind of like really separate her and this species
And is she wearing
from
heels or
ET.
does she have hooves?
I believe that's a hoofed
I
foot.
believe it's a hoofed foot too. Yeah.
We did see them before. We saw them back in season 1 on, Niamos. There's a trio of them sitting on the bleachers. In fact, I would go so far as to say the lady with the green hat
Could be the
is
very same one.
the same puppet,
Yeah, it's probably.
in the chair. The other thing here, and I tried to look this up. I don't have a big detailed shot of it, but the credits that they're paid with, they are not any Imperial or Republic credits that I could find. So I presume this is a local currency,
Could be.
but
Like if
I couldn't
Neomos is a
identify it.
resort, it could be resort currency.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah, yeah,
casino
yeah.
has it
No, you're right. You're right.
credits.
There's another credit connection. I'm going to bring that up too in a little bit, and I'm not sure. I'll. I'm going to get your guys' opinion on it
Hmm.
because it could be nothing. All right. Clea and Mrs. E.T., not E.T., arrive at the 17th floor, not the 27th floor, like my notes erroneously say, at the 17th floor, and they're met by one of the tactical agents. The agent informs them they can't go to the 19th floor because it's special access only. Clea is trying to get up there under the guise that her family, the lady's family, is up there, but no, you cannot go there. In another flashback, we find Kalea and Luthen now at an open air market on another planet. This time they're selling a more expensive artifact. Luthen names it a Deveronian victory necklace. Deveronians appeared in the Cantina sequence in A New Hope. That was the devil
Hmm.
mask reused.
And we saw them
Be
in
right
the
back,
Bad
guys.
Batch, yeah,
Carry on.
We did. Yeah,
as well as Clone Wars,
absolutely.
because the one dude got his horn clipped. And that was a huge
Yeah.
insult.
The bustle of the market is overshadowed by a group of Imperial soldiers who march a ragtag bunch of prisoners bound in shackles and leg irons into a square where they are executed by firing squad for allegedly taking part in an earlier sniper attack against an Imperial trooper. Luthen tries to get Clea to leave with him, but she can't look away from the execution, so he tells her, "You're on your own," and leaves her standing there. Later on, Clea catches up with Luthen on the outskirts of town and angrily asks, "When do we start fighting back?" And he tells her, "We already have." And she retorts, "By walking away?" Luthen says that fighting to win means that we will lose and lose and lose and lose and lose until we're ready. He tells her that right now, all she knows is how much she hates. And he tells her to hold on to that and to keep it alive until she knows what to do with it.
Hmm.
And when he tells her to move, move. Luthen walks away, leaving Clea standing there staring out at a river, lost in her own thoughts. But when he shouts at her, "Move!" she hustles after him.
Now, do you think they were doing the buy a house with a paperclip thing here? Like
Oh, like upselling?
start with a small artifact, trade up for
Trade
money
up until we get
uh,
enough money to do
to
something?
buy a bigger one, then trade that up until
Uh,
eventually you've got like artifacts coming and
See
going.
they
that
they
when
could
you
have done
said
that.
7,000, I don't know where you got the thousand attached to that because I always thought they were dealing in single digits.
No, they said 7,000.
Do they say? I always thought
Yeah.
they were saying 7, no 12, no it's worth 20. So I missed the first time they said 1,000.
Mm,
So I did get the impression that they were starting very
low,
low.
low. Well, this particular item, if you want to get into it, I'm pretty sure Luthen says, it's worth 80. And the dealer, without him missing a beat, says, "I can do 80."
Hmm. Yeah, that's the second one, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. I presumed it was 80,000.
Mm.
I could be wrong. I would have to go back and double check that, but I'm pretty sure the first one was 7,000.
cool.
Oh yeah. Moving ahead. Back at the hospital, Clea has abandoned the ancient alien woman and
Leaves her in the hallway just scatting away.
well, she's not in a hallway. She's in a room now.
Oh, somewhere in there, yeah.
Some you can't see it really well here, but she's in another room. In favor of a large data pad that she's now using to cover the little holdout blaster that she took from the gallery. Quietly, she creeps up a staircase to the 19th floor where she's met by a tactical agent who tries to turn her back. She blasts him in the chest, and in one of the best stunts that I can remember as of late, the guy goes face first down the stairs, and give that man an award
Get that man some dental insurance.
Oh my god, it was so like I've never seen. I I love good stunts. Like there's taking a bump in wrestling, but
Mm-hmm.
like what do you call it when you
What, like a
nosedive down a
face
flight of
surf?
stairs? Oh
Oh,
my god. I first of all, I thought the guy was really hurt, but it was so convincing.
he didn't get up. Maybe he
No,
was.
he didn't. Creeping around the corner into the lit corridor, Kalea spots Luthen's room and notes just how much of an Imperial presence there is on the floor. There are literally stormtroopers and tactical agents everywhere. Kneeling down in the corner just outside the door to Luthen's hallway, she places the pad on the floor and produces the other item from the hidden stash. And it's clear that it's a detonator. From there, we cut back to another flashback. This time, we're on Naboo. We're at a cafe near a river. This is the moment where they are about to commit their first insurgent act. Up until now, they haven't been responsible for anyone's death. Luthen tells Clea that life shows them what they stand to lose, and most people tend to look away. They can't afford to be like that. The lesson is a metaphor for complacency and apathy. Clea looks out at the causeway where an Imperial traffic checkpoint is set up. Luthen tells her to look at him before telling her to accept what she's leaving behind. Presumably, he's referring to any childhood innocence that she may have left.
Yeah.
He says that he's lived most of his life never knowing that choosing was an option. Clea says she doesn't care. She knows what she wants, and he's just afraid. Luthen corrects her. He's just afraid. He says, I'm just afraid of what I'm doing to you.
Right.
Reaching into his cloak, he produces what, and this is the question I have. It's so fast, and the camera moves off it. It looks like a Republic credit chip. And then he opens it up, and there's the button there.
Hmm.
But any of the Republic credits that I looked at, they didn't have those beveled edges. They were all squared.
Hmm.
But it almost looks like there's like the Aurebesh numbers
Could be.
engraved on the top of it.
Oh, poor Josh.
Oy, I fell downstairs before. I can say firsthand, it's not fun. No, man,
And that's without
not
even
fun.
taking a blaster shot.
Yeah. Well, that's insult to injury, man.
Yeah.
At least that guy might have been dead before he hit the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going back to his line there, I didn't realize I have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have swapped that in for good soldiers follow orders.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
That's true. Reaching into his cloak, he produces what looks somewhat like a Republic credit chip, but it too is a concealed detonator, and he slides it across the table at Clea and orders her to do it. Do it. Clea reaches for the device, but he stops her. Don't. He forces Clea to lock gazes on him.
Go away, come here. Come here, go away.
And it's Luthen that triggers the device, and the Imperial checkpoint explodes. Then he tells her, now look. People scream in terror, and only then does she look. We'll be leaving now. We made our choice.
There were civilians on that bridge.
Oh, absolutely. There was like a civilian speeder that went through just before he detonated
They
it.
killed a whole bunch of people there, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, I looked at the look at me thing as like, don't draw attention to yourself. If you're looking over there when it happens, you know. And if the cameras pick that up, you're
that's
going to be on the hook.
I
Look
thought
at
he
me.
was trying to keep her, like he was trying to maintain, like he's still trying to protect her, I think.
But I think, like, don't look until something happens because then you have a reason to look.
Right. Don't be looking at it before the thing happens.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
I mean, I don't think there was a lot of camera work, like, security camera type stuff going on Naboo, but even if there was, right?
Well, this whole thing is an interesting one because arguably there would be. I mean, the Empire obviously has a presence here, and why wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Whose backyard are we in?
Yeah.
This is Palpatine's home planet. So just think about this. The context of we're about to commit our first insurgent act. How do you get noticed? You do it in his backyard. Yeah. Like, talk about poetic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some Easter eggs out of the way. I want to talk about back in the hospital where he dropped off the ET lady. I noticed there's an astromech in there projecting what looks like a very. I'm like, it looks like it's projecting a Death Star. But we talked about it, and I think we've decided that it's a brain.
I think it
Could be.
looks like a brain. You almost see the ocular cavity there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of similar to what what's his face did in Iron Man 3.
Oh,
Man, the guy who was the Mandarin, you know the one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My
Uh
God, Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley.
no, the real
Oh,
Mandarin.
the real.
Oh,
Oh,
oh.
that guy. Yeah,
Killian?
that's right.
Yeah. And he rolls out those three little projector dealies.
Yeah. And after and of course, I thought I'm having a moment of the Mandela effect. I'm like, didn't R2 project the Death Star at some point? And you had mentioned, Andy, that no, maybe it was the star map.
Yeah, because he did that in
That's in the Force
Force
Awakens.
Awakens when
Yeah,
he gets the last piece from.
yeah. I find it interesting though, like as big and nerds as we are in the wars, that astromechs up until now have always been referred to as like pilots and mechanics.
Hmm.
But now I guess they're biomechanics too,
Could be.
or surgical aids.
I guess they're probably just loyal companions at the end of the day, and could program to do a lot of different tasks. But
Here's a cool one that if you didn't follow the media stuff, you wouldn't have picked up on. But the background plates for the river scene at the cafe were actually shot for Attack of the Clones and then
Unused
discarded.
stuff
Yeah,
that got
unused.
reused.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's kind of cool to see that make an appearance here.
And whoever shot it be like, yeah, they finally used my stuff.
Lucas, George Lucas.
Nice.
Yeah, because
No,
he
I mean like
directed all three.
literally the
Oh, the cinematographer.
photographer.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, oh, we shot all that and now
No,
we
no,
don't
you're
even
right.
get to
You're
see
right.
it.
Yep,
Well,
that
now you do.
makes more sense. Okay, back at the hospital with the detonator in her hand, Clea triggers several simultaneous explosions, all keyed to a single press from the device. How much time did she spend walking around outside planting bombs? A lot.
off camera.
Several transports on the hospital parkade go up in flames, and the Imperials all rush to respond. With her holdout blaster tucked into the waistband of her hospital scrubs, Clea steps through the door into Luthen's hallway. Several troops run right past her like she's not even there, leaving a single stormtrooper and a single tactical agent to guard Luthen's room. Clea guns them down without hesitation and enters the room.
My only thought though was when she kneeled down, I thought she was kneeling down directly across from Luthen's room.
No.
Because like, would the troopers over there not be like, "Hey, what's she doing over there?"
I got the impression that the hospital was shaped like a horseshoe,
Yeah,
and she's about to go through the door into like the elbow.
yeah,
Yeah, because Luthen's room was across from the elevator, so
yeah.
this is the adjoining hallway, I guess.
Yeah.
At the window, Clea uses the controls to frost the glass so nobody can see inside. Then, methodically and without hesitation, she disconnects Luthen's life support and watches his face grimace as he struggles to take his last breath. With tears streaming down her face, she kisses his forehead and leaves the room. Imperial agents coming back into the hallway from the opposite end try to stop her, but Clea steps through a door and is effectively gone. Cutting back to Luthen's room, the camera pulls back from his face until we see his lifeless body lying there on the table, and we have one of the slowest fade-outs in cinematic history as we fade to black.
Yeah.
God.
I did kind of find the breathing apparatus a little bit funny, just because it reminded me of one of those milking things you put on cows.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I
At the
get
top of the room there.
it. The robot milker. They have a thing in pre-hospital care, the thumper. So instead of a person sitting there doing CPR on you, it's basically this thing that they put on your chest, and it mechanically compresses you, like, and does the compressions instead of a person doing it. So it's not out of the question.
No, not at all.
Super, super heavy episode. I don't know how you couldn't emotionally react. Elizabeth Delau, by the way, is a
Holy cow.
freaking treat to
Holy
watch.
cow.
Shocking to find out that Andor was her first acting job out of acting school.
Oh, so I looked that up because I had saw that in a meme.
She has other acting credits
Yeah.
in 2022, but she's said
Going
on
back
the
to
record,
2020.
yeah, but this is her first. No, not 2020.
Oh, I looked it
Uh,
up and I was like, oh, that's
look it
clickbait.
up.
Race you.
You're probably faster than me.
No, I doubt it.
That's because that was one of those things that I would definitely look up to like verify.
Mm-hmm.
I got her here.
I don't count the short films.
Okay.
Maybe that's why. Because I mean, who who outside of like a select festival crowd saw those?
Sure, but it's not her first work.
First professional work, maybe.
Okay. Anyways, she's
All right,
pretty
yeah,
new and
she's
she's
new.
pretty talented.
I mean, we were gushing over Denise Gow's performance last
Oh yeah,
week.
absolutely.
It's
So I
true.
mean,
Like
this is
this
definitely
week,
her moment.
oh,
And it's funny, I mean I've always found her kind of cute, like as a as a male.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
then I don't know if you boys I sent one to Instagram. I didn't send them all,
Oh,
but she's doing a Vogue spread this month.
oh
And
yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
god, she's stunning.
Yeah. Well, I saw
Like
one today. It was
absolutely stunning.
I saw a meme today, and it was right out of the show. It's like I watch Andor for the plot, and then the meme was the plot, and it's her standing on the table trying to get the stuff out of the stash.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, can we just grow up a little, just a little bit?
Yeah.
It's okay, but like, oh, um, yeah, I think she's fantastic, and
and she doesn't stop with this episode. Like her
I saw
performance
another
just
one.
keeps going.
I saw another one that was even great. Like, there's so many implications here. Like, and this touches on all three episodes. It's like by the end of the thing, you've got Vel and Clea still present. It's not hard to imagine them somewhere in the medal ceremony at the end
Mm-hmm.
of A New
Yeah.
Hope, right? Anyway, I expect that we'll see lots more of her because she's fantastic.
I hope so.
I guess I'm turning it over to you now, man.
Okay then.
All right.
All right. So let me just get my notes up here. Go like that. And then I will bring us over to my slides.
Slides.
Yeah. So mine is episode 11. It is titled Who Else Knows? Again,
I do.
I know we all know. This one is written by Tom Bissell and directed again by Alonso Ruiz Palacios. Originally aired alongside episodes 10 and 12 on May 13th. Listed runtime of 45 minutes, but comes in at a total of 34 minutes and 34 seconds without the recap titles and credits.
It's a Bad Batch episode.
It is. The synopsis for this one is it's a little bit better than the other ones, but not by much. Cassian returns to Coruscant for one last extraction. So,
Oh, I forgot to mention something last week, and this is something that only nerds like us would pick up on. When the Gormans are talking, did you guys notice? Did you have the
descriptive audio?
did you have descriptive audio turned on?
Yep.
All the narrators from all the different Star Wars shows are in it, are a voice in it.
Nice.
Oh,
So, like,
speaking of the gore, yeah.
yeah.
Translating, yeah.
Yeah. So when you said Bad Batch, I was like, oh, the Bad Batch lady was in
Mm-hmm.
here.
But, we open our episode on the visual of a dead stormtrooper laying in the hallway on the polished floor.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah, I know. The Lenaso Medical Center. We also see Supervisor Hirt kneel down and inspect the body of the soldier, and all while getting a sit rep from his attendant Joydali.
Don't look too close here. It's contagious.
Yep. But he tells Hirt that despite all the contributing factors, he asserts that the security was all under the direction of Dedra Miro. So he's already, reiterating where the blame is going to land on this one. A commotion occurs in an adjoining hallway, and Joydali tells him that it's Dr. Recklaw, who runs the hospital as medical director. And moving closer to the room housing Luthen's body, Joydali relays that the current theory was that it was a team of 3 rebels based on the scale and planning of the attack.
I love that
this much, it had to be 3 people.
What was the line?
Make one man
one
seem
man
like
seem
100.
like
Mm-hmm.
100.
Yep.
Yeah. One woman is 3.
Yep.
That's great.
But here it doubles down, insisting that make sure everybody knows this was under Dedra's control. And just then, Dr. Recklaw approaches, demanding to know why his hospital is closed. But very quickly, Hirt threatens to arrest him, as it is now an ISB crime scene.
Recklaw spelled backwards is Walker.
Ooh.
I wonder if that's a reference to somebody else.
Maybe. But his tune changes instantly, and he complies as Hirt demands immediate access to the security logs. Elsewhere on Coruscant, Dedra sits alone in an interrogation room with 3 windows on 3 different sides. A very distinct figure concealed in shadow crosses a control panel and turns off the monitoring equipment. It is Director Orson Krennic. He makes his way slowly around the room until he enters through the door behind Dedra, and she stiffens up and gives a quick glance over her shoulder before Krennic asks, "Who else knows?" And she claims that all she has been told is that Supervisor Young is dead. But he belittles her by asking if he is there for the murder of an ISB clerk. Has his reputation slid so precipitously? And he asks her to think very carefully about the one single thing that could drag him down to this forsaken basement. And then she utters, Death Star.
Oh, so you do know.
Yeah. He asks again, who else knows? But she quickly replies, Partagas. But he says, I know he knows. Tell me who I don't know. And she tells Krennic this is absurd, but he shoots right back that resistance is absurd. He tells her that the only plausible situation is that herself, or she herself, is a rebel spy, which she outright denies. She suggests that Legret's brother on Scarif might know, but Krennic suggests Young, and she tells him to ask Hirt about him because they were friends. He then asks what she gave, or when she gave Young her code cert, and this part catches her off guard. The idea is preposterous to her, but Krennic has no time for why, and she insists if he had it, he stole it. He then asks who told her about Galen Urso, and as it would turn out, several intel bundles were forwarded to her office by mistake, which she apologizes for not reporting, and he mentions Gorman, which she says, I'm cleared for that. But he asks about orbital progress assessments, Edu research journals, and how they found 2 years' worth of Jeddah working group printouts in her files. And she again asserts, well, I should have reported them, and I didn't read them all. But Krennic says, you read enough.
I didn't do it. I did not take the secret documents to another.
They just landed in my office.
That's right.
But he pokes a stiff
Are we on
finger.
Snapchat right now?
No, it's Signal.
That's right, Signal.
But he pokes a stiff finger in the top of her head and tells her that her friend Young spent 3 hours logged into her account the night before. And the look of shock on her face speaks volumes.
Did you know that it was improvised?
I did. Yeah, that whole finger,
Yeah.
completely improvised. So her shock is
There's some genuine
so
reaction.
authentic.
Yeah.
It's like the like Dance for Me, like I'm twisting you like a marionette, like the ballerina.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's so like I'm playing you like a toy.
basically.
Crazy.
But he postures what Young found and told to Luthen Rail. But she quickly pivots, citing that she was looking for access and she found him. And she admits that she was a scavenger and she had to be forced, or she'd been forced to become one to find Luthen. Krennic tells her how perplexing it is that she could balance such passionate competency with the mindless decision to confront Luthen on her own. Krennic tells her that if she's not a rebel spy, she missed her calling.
The moment when she says, yes, but I've had to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's the summary of your entire career.
Yeah.
You know, that whole, and we said it back in season 1, right? Like everybody's got an agenda.
Yeah.
And really she's her own undoing.
Yeah. I mean, she kind of lets it slip when she was talking to Hirt, what was it, last episode or last 3 arc or the one prior, when she's like, you can have all the glory.
Oh, yeah. You can take all the glory.
Yeah. No, you were chasing the glory.
Absolutely.
And even when she was speaking to Cyril, like, we're going to go back, we're going to be heroes.
Speaking of Cyril, Last
Yes.
week I said Cyril wasn't even a footnote in the, history of the Empire, and man, was I ever right. Not even, like, an allusion to, like, is she over him? Was she ever even upset by him
Yeah.
dying? Like, nope,
Nope. Moving on.
nothing. Yeah.
Moving on. But measuring her next words, she remembers that Luthen's assistant was not in the gallery, and that anything he knows, she knows as well. Suddenly, the door opens, and another attendant informs Krennic that he's needed. And unaware of the events that have transpired, she notes it could be days before Luthen is able to speak, so they must find Clan now. But, like she's still trying to better her position, right? But Krennic grabs her right by the head, forcing her to sit down and tells her they'll do their best to carry on without her. And with that, he exits the room, leaving her alone with the realization that she has just been thrown under the proverbial bus. Um, we do get an Easter egg here with some Orabesh. Uh, and on the screen, it reads, which we see at the beginning, it says serial input, stop, stop, clear flag.
Oh, do you have another slide for that?
I do, because this is a direct reference
Yeah, man.
to TH 1138
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
THX 1138. So that's kind of cool.
I think that's pretty awesome that they ended up doing that.
Mm. We cut back over to the medical center where Dr. Recklaw paces outside the security office in front of two ISB security agents. Inside the room, the security tech, played by Alexander Owen, recounts hearing an explosion to the supervisor and Joy Daly. He explains that they had a line blow the week prior and thought it might have been that again. But he also heard that they may be under attack. And it's like he doesn't know what just transpired. Like the dude sitting in front of all the monitors didn't see any explosions, didn't see any scrambling of troopers.
Yeah, what was he doing in there? And the way he's like, maybe don't touch that.
Yeah.
Where have your hands been?
Could have been watching a pod racing game.
Don't turn that off. I'm recording something. But here it asks to see the outdoor security feeds, and he points that those are gone. And as you can see on the screens, they all read no signal.
She had to have done something to scramble them.
Well,
Is that when she's like planting the bombs?
If you plant the bombs at the base of a pillar that has a camera, it would take it out in the process too, right?
I presume from the explosions that some of them were like on the transports directly.
Yeah.
Or very close. Yeah.
Yeah. But the tech then asks if there's a second choice they'd like to see, and he says, sure, the concentrated care unit, which the guy can facilitate. He rolls back the security feed, and he casually brings up that his cousin has put in an application to join the ISB. But here, Curdley responds, then I should only have to tell you once to shut up and get busy. The tech gulps and then focuses on his task. Back at Luthen's safe house, we see that the hallway has fallen into disrepair, lights no longer functioning, and the floor saturated with water.
I wonder if it was always like this. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like
don't remember it being that way when Cassian and Bix were there.
They didn't spend any time in the hallway though.
No, but
right? Like I feel like that was always that way, like dark and seedy, which means the Empire's not coming looking.
Yeah. But to say that it's dank is an understatement.
Agreed.
Inside the unit, though, we follow exposed pipes along the ceiling to the sound of metallic banging, and we find Clea using two chunks of pipe to smash a hole in one of the Durkrete walls. And then, again, we cut so many times here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But back at the medical center, the tech dials in on an image of Clea, and the image comes as Clea exited the floor using the surgery entrance, which does not have coverage because apparently the doctors don't like it. So doctors love their privacy. But then cutting back to the safe house, Clea finishes her task and a gaping hole is now in the wall. She blows away some dust and reaches inside, and she pulls out a small bundle, and placing it on the counter, she unwraps to find components for a portable fractal radio, which she quickly begins to assemble.
I almost went back. I wanted to go back to the season 1 with Bix up the chimney. Beep, 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 beep. Is it the same prop?
It could be.
I wonder if it is.
Maybe. But we cut back to the hospital, and then Hirt continues to stare intently at the security monitors, and Joy Dolly catches sight of her in one screen. The tech zooms up, but Clea has been aware of most of these cameras, and she keeps her head down, which,
smart girl.
Yeah, she knows how to not be seen.
Clever girl.
But, at the safe house, she cracks open a panel on the side of the counter and pulls out an array of wires and quickly plugs it into the device and powers it up. And then she pulls a chrono out of her own backpack and hovers her fingers above the keys, waiting for time to count down. Cutting back to the hospital, the sec tech has traced Clea's movements coming and going, leading Director Hirt to come to the conclusion that it was not a team, but a single rebel. And with the amount of footage, Clea is fully identifiable.
I think the astonishment of like, it was one person.
Yeah, just one person did this? Are
What
you kidding
the
me?
hell?
But back at the safe house, the chrono finishes its countdown and she commences tapping out a signal in a fashion close to Morse code. I did not sit there and try and
No, I wouldn't even bother.
block out what, short, long, but a large red light does come on the side of the device, lighting up with every key that she taps. And the camera pulls in really tight on the light, and the screen crossfades to the rebel base on Yavin. We see a couple X-Wings and the U-Wing as well sitting on the tarmac. But inside, we see all manner of rebels and droids, including a WED Treadwell repair droid.
Hey, Treadwell.
Going about their tasks. We see a group of rebels head out for the evening, including Willman, and we stick with him as he heads through the jungle back to the place that he shares with Drina.
With a pronounced limp.
Pronounced limp, yeah.
Pronounced limp.
That's a serious injury you're on.
Like, they don't show him below the knee. Is the leg still there?
Or is he Saw Gerrera? Yeah. Does he have a
Yeah.
robot leg? Yeah.
But upon arrival, she's sitting on the bed waiting for him, and she asks, "What is under the bed?" It was beeping, and it woke her up. He rushes over and grabs the box, and she asks if it's a radio, but all he's concerned about with is knowing how long ago it was beeping. And she tells him about a half hour ago.
Ugh.
And opening the box, it reveals a signal monitor, but the line is flat. He rushes to grab a bag, telling her he'll explain in a minute, and then closes the box. And we shift over to Cassian's hut, where Cassian, Melshi, and K2SO are playing a game of Rianza. So this is a new one. It is a popular game played by rebel soldiers during downtime, with a fast-paced mix of plated tiles, betting, and bluffing, where players aim to win by declaring decoy triumphantly. This game that we see them playing was created by Andor Art Graphics Department, with tiles designed by graphic designer El McKee.
Cool.
Who also crafted a full set of rules to play. And she was inspired by Mahjong and dominoes.
Soon to be available at Galaxy's Edge.
More than likely. More than likely.
I need a set of those and a set of Sabat cards.
Yep. But it's clear to Melshi and Cassian have had a bit to drink as they make their wagers in the game. And Melshi makes a particularly large bet, and K2 notes that even discounting the amount of Revnog they've ingested, chances of Melshi making a bid that large are not statistically measurable.
Revnog.
Yeah, Revnog is making its second on-screen appearance here. The first one having been way back in season 1, episode 1 in that brothel. Cassian warns K2 warns that K2 is trying to droid Melshi. And K notes that they have played 863 games, giving him a solid predicting example.
I talk about callbacks or call forwards. He's, kind of 3PO like, about he's always talking about the odds.
Yeah, he's running stats, right?
All the time. It just doesn't stop.
Cassian chuckles that the droid is nervous, and Melshi agrees. But K2 offers him a chance to recall his bid, but both Cassian and Melshi urge the droid to play. Shut up and play, come on.
Doesn't he say, though, in Rogue One that his specialty is like, it's tactical or strategic analysis or something?
Something like that,
Strategic analysis.
Yeah. Of course he's running the numbers.
What do I know?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and they're like, you can't do it. He's a human. There's no rhyme or reason, right? But just then, Willman appears in the doorway, and they ask what's wrong. And he can't get the words out fast enough, but proceeds to place the fractal radio on the table on top of their game pieces. And then, once again, we cut back to Coruscant, where Supervisor Hirt strides through the ISB plaza on his way to the main building. Inside, there's a hologram of Clea rotating in the middle of the conference room, Major Partagaz on one side, Hirt on the other, and Director Krennic pacing around the room. Partagaz asks how quickly this image can get out, but he tells him, well, depends on the level of saturation. And Krennic asks Hirt his name. Like, what was your name again? Doesn't even register.
Yeah. I don't think they've met before. Did they meet before now?
I'm assuming they would have met at like one of a full meeting,
Maybe.
but
But
no,
Krennic's
it
not part of
doesn't.
the ISB.
No, but he's clearly not on the level of importance to remember his name, right?
No, I mean, he's just a
Just a
sector
supervisor.
supervisor. Yeah.
But he tells him in no uncertain terms that this message has to go out as far and as wide and as deep as it takes until they find her. And calmly and coldly, he tells here there will be no limit to how far it must go, and no limit to the effort you will put into it, as he slowly walks towards the supervisor. He continues that failure will result in him joining the ever lengthening ISB death march. So they're just lining him up now. But Hirt asks what the charge should be, offering sedition, murder, or all of the above as options. And this is where Partagaz comes in and he snaps. She has a disease, an infectious, dangerous disease to anyone that she comes in contact with.
That totally works.
And oh, you yell, oh, this is a murder or whatever.
Yeah.
People will ignore it, but this person is diseased. This
And it
could
goes-
affect you.
Anthrax!
That goes directly back to the season 1 where he says, why are we here? And Dedra gives the textbook answer. He says, no, we're here because we're medicine, we're physicians, and we're cutting out a disease.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But Krennic then prompts Hirt, you have your orders. What are you still doing here? And he quickly rushes off, leaving his superiors alone. And Partagaz chuckles at the title Death Star. What a prescient turn of phrase. And it's like, yeah, it is.
Yep.
You know what you're getting out of it. Krennic plainly tells him, I can't protect you, Leo. And Partagaz tells him that they should have been ready by now. And it's a miracle they've kept it secret this long. But angrily, Krennic fires back that they are days away from completion. But he tells him, save your sermon for Palpatine. And he agrees and cites that he's overdue for Scarif. And as he moves to leave, he pauses at the door and looking back. Partagaz wishes him best of luck to both of them. And Krennic returns a nod and exits.
I shouldn't. And I think I said this in our group chat. I actually feel sorry for Partagaz, but then I'm like, no, fuck that guy. Space fascist, screw you.
Mm-hmm. Like at the base level, yeah, it's it. But like they've humanized them so much, right?
It's hard to know, like, and I think that's one of the things that the show does really well, and he might be the best example of it. Him and Legret and Lonnie, like not everybody in the organization is a card-carrying member of the party. They don't necessarily all believe in the fascism. They could just be guys who just are doing their job.
Yeah. Like Cyril, who thought he was legitimately there to help make things better.
I'm going to help restore order to the galaxy.
You got to figure it too that more than just Yularen was a holdover from the Republic Army. Partagaz at this level, at this
late in his
this rank,
age.
and in his career being this old and still this high up in the ranks, tells me he was Republic intelligence before.
He must have, yeah, he had to have been an intelligence guy from way back.
Right?
Yeah. Career lifer. What's Josh saying here? Gentlemen, this is off subject. Would you consider a box turtle to be, in fact, a turtle?
I feel like it's in the name.
I found one in the road in front of my house and got out of the streets before it got hit. Good job.
I don't know what a
Save
box
them
turtle
turtles.
is.
My church member is arguing it's not a turtle, but a terrapin, which Google calls a turtle, which is in fact a turtle. Well, I can tell you it's probably not a Ninja Mutant turtle, but past that, I'm not up on my turtle breeds. Except snapping.
Terrapins were put here to test our faith.
Yeah. Snapping turtles were put here to hurt us.
I mean, a quick Google search says that terrapin is a term formerly used to refer to any aquatic turtle, but is now restricted largely, but not exclusively, to the diamondback terrapin of the turtle family Emididae. Sure.
Fair enough. Just it's weird.
It is weird.
Could it be a tortoise?
Well, not if it's an aquatic one, right? Tortoise is land only.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. But again, we're cutting and we go back to the safe house where Clea stands by the window watching her chrono. and a beeping prompts her to return to the radio, and she prepares for another transmission. And cutting back to Yavin, K2 reiterates that no unauthorized radio transmissions are permitted and offers to bring up the rules for them as Willman sharply monitors the fractal radio. Cassian asks Will if he's sure it still works, offering up a couple alternative explanations, but Will's certain it's in fine condition. He's kept it charged. K2 scoffs that no one is interested in hearing the info, then asks why they're not calling back.
Talking
And
about
who are you hiding from?
the fractal radio for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same radio that Will was monitoring when he was on Gorman?
I think it was.
Like that's his.
I feel like
that's his. Yeah, it goes with him. He hid it
That
under
I
his
do
bed,
feel
right?
Yeah.
But all the while, Cassian has been pouring himself another drink, one for himself and one for Melshi. And sarcastically, K2 asks if there's any question they will answer. But Cassian tells him, we're hiding from everyone. And suddenly the radio starts beeping and the lights flicker on. K2 notes that it's a code that can't be decoded and asks Cassian if he knows it. And Cassian asks if the U-Wing is powered up, which the droid does confirm. Cassian tells Melshi, grab your gear, and Wilmon to go to the hangar and get them on the list for a test flight. And Willman tells Cassian he will go as well, but Cassian will not allow it. K2 goes on about needing a flight plan, but Cassian shoots that down, again asserting it's just a test run. And as Cassian rushes about, K2 shrugs and notes that he hears the Revnog talking.
Flight plan? Cassian? What?
Yeah. Like he I know he's not playing it off for comedy, but it comes off so fun. Like at the humanism and mannerisms that he displays this whole episode.
Of K2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we cut quickly to Coruscant, where Clea continues to tap out her message before jumping back to the hangar in Yavin, where General Draven marches through the hangar to find out why the flight is departing. He's tailed by Lieutenant Poyle, who informs him that a test run has been logged in, and we see various droids working about in the background, including one of our beloved Gonk droids. On the U-Wing, Melshi takes his seat as K2 and Cassian prep for liftoff, and the radio chatter notes that they are not authorized to leave, but Cassian tells K2 to ignore it and turn it off. And
can't hear you.
He again asks, would you like to know how many orders we've broken, citing the count at 17 so far?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
But Cassian turns to him like, hey, and to turn the radio off. So he does, and then he's like, 18. Cassian tells Melshi to hang on, and the ship jumps into hyperspace, and it screams past the red gas giant. And it's kind of neat to see them, because in the cockpit, we see the stars start streaking, and then you cut, and you see, it goes.
Yeah.
Really nice cut. Back on Coruscant, though, Dedra finds herself alone in a cell, and hearing steps approaching, she stands up and straightens the collar on her uniform.
Just want to tell her to get used to it.
Yeah. She's like, well, I'm going to meet a superior. I better, prep myself here, only to find out that it's Hirt. And when she sees that it's him, she sits back down. And he tells her that he came as soon as he could. And she sarcastically retorts, well, that's reassuring. And then
you get the impression, in this sequence, and I don't know if it's just him trying to work her over, but it almost reverts back to the relationship when he was her attendant.
A little bit, yeah.
He's much more friendly with her.
Mm-hmm. Well, he needs something from her, right?
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. But she then asks, is Luthen dead? And he confirms, yes, he is, noting that Luthen's assistant did it and is currently on the run. She notes that it's all on him now, and there's probably a cell waiting for him down here, too. Hirt steps in and asks, why is this a Krennic project? And she asks, is this a test? And he replies, no, I need advice, citing that he's just launched this massive search package, but knows Clea is too smart to go where she'll be seen. And he posits that if she's found quickly with Dedra's advice, it could help improve her station. With her insight, she tells him, go back as Clea will need to reach out. And the access files have, there was a fractal radio found on Ferrix, which Bix was using. Anto Krieger had one, and they found several more of them. And she tells him that they were old frequencies and pulse codes, but chances are it's already too late. And with that, Hirt departs once again, leaving Dedra in her solitude.
I think this is really telling. So, like, I think she does this because she genuinely wants a solution to the problem,
Yeah.
Yep.
and
Yeah.
this has nothing to do with.
You don't think this is anything to save her career?
I don't. I don't think
On
that's
some
what
level,
this is
yes.
about. Like, I don't think there is saving her career, and I think she probably knows that. But this is her being able to affect some real, as far as she's concerned, no matter what happens to her at the time, moving forward, if Hurt can catch Clea, then it stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
regardless
then,
of how she's viewed, her job is done.
yeah.
Like Axis is contained, and I think that's what this conversation is about.
Mm. I think on some level she actually believes him that this could help her, but
Yeah, I mean,
it is sinking in like she's at
I
the
go back
bottom.
to what I said before, and it's really apparent at the end by how broken down she is, but like her ambition, and it just shines through. Like it's all about how can I claw my way,
Yeah, and
you know?
she's constantly thinking or overthinking like my position is higher than I actually am.
Yeah.
Like she oversteps a lot, but
Well, what did he say? What did Party Guy say to her back in the at the earlier part of the season?
something akin to
Find them
don't choke
first,
on your
then
own
find them
ambition.
first, then make them famous.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. Back on Yavin, General Draven confronts Wilmon about where Cassian went, and he tells him Coruscant. And Draven blasts him about running off whenever Luthen calls, but Will says this was a distress call, a final call. And Draven then berates Will, noting all the sacrifice or all the safeties and protocols they've put in place that could be jeopardized. But Will stands up and defiantly fires back that none of this would exist if not for Luthen. And
He's
Draven,
right.
he's
He's right.
100% right.
Mm.
But
I mean, and
Draven,
let's remind everyone that not only just breaking rules and going off on secret missions, he's going to the Imperial homeworld
yeah,
twice,
That's
twice.
that's true.
Like
Yeah.
he's going to the worst place you could go.
yeah. But I did see one article this week, and it's like the lost hero of the rebellion.
Will
No, Luthen.
Luthen. Oh,
And it's like it was a very misleading article because they're oh we've kind of written him out of history. Well, no, Andor has written him in to the history. Like this is now canon. This is thing we know. Luthen is basically
I mean
the father of the
the
rebellion.
exchange of words in the next episode really cement that, I think.
Mm-hmm. But Draven hangs his head and tells Lieutenant Poyle to confine Will to his quarters until further notice. No more words are exchanged as Poyle and Will exit without incident. Back on Coruscant, an ISB transport touches down at Luthen's gallery, and Supervisor Hirt and Attendant Joydali enter, where the investigation continues, agents poring over every artifact and aspect of the business. In the back room, Agent Lepori relays to Hirt that the storage files of the signal library was the most damaged, and he asks about the radio itself and tells him the receiver is intact. And in a moment of almost like being impressed and almost respect, she notes how they had the radio spliced into a metro tower next door using Imperial broadcast power for who knows how long. And
Years.
she's impressed by her, right?
Years. Well, she's a tech nerd, so
Yeah,
of course she's
exactly.
impressed with her, right?
And she looks to Joydali, who gives her a frown and is like, don't be impressed with this. But high above the surface of the planet, the U-Wing drops out of hyperspace, and Cassian unbuckles his seatbelt and heads into the back to prep some gear, leaving K2 to pilot them to the address that he gives. Melshi stares intently out the window, and he whispers, incredible. And K2 notes that Melshi's never been to Coruscant before. But he turns to Cassian and asks if he knows where they're going. He replies, yeah, but I hope they're still there. And K2 interjects that he's been to Coruscant. He was in a parade once. There were 200 KX droids. And then he kind of hangs his head. The Emperor was there. And Cassian notes that he's sorry he missed it, and then pulls out a portable fractal radio of his own and switches it on.
It's amazing that so they talk about him being reprogrammed, but it can't be a complete reprogramming
No.
for him to remember that.
Yeah, because he's got memories of
What was it? Cortex swap?
something like that.
Cortex
It,
swap.
it couldn't be the entire droid brain then.
No. But back at the safe house, Clea paces while checking her chrono, and when it beeps, she returns to the radio. Elsewhere at Luthen's gallery, though, Lepori tells Hirt the easiest thing would be to take it offline and get it back to the lab, but he implores her that he needs a location. And she tells him, I can't trace what I don't have. But just then a small light starts
As if
blinking.
on cue.
Exactly.
Beep, 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 beep.
Small light starts blinking on the unit. Then at the safe house again, Clea taps out another distress call, and Cassian receives it on the U-wing, and then they bank towards the surface of the planet. At Luthen's gallery, Hirt rushes out, now having acquired a location still on Coruscant, and relays it to Major Partagas. A tactical unit is being deployed as they speak, and Hirt will oversee it personally, and Partagas tells him that they will monitor closely. He hands off the radio to Joy Daly, who tells him that the tactical unit will pick him up out front. And then we cut back to the U-wing as it descends into the cityscape. Cassian retakes the controls and tells Belshi to hold on. And in a perfectly human moment, K2 grabs the overhead bar for like support and
I
safety.
mean, the holy.
It's the equivalent, yeah, of the whole shit bar, right? But he banks past a couple more buildings until the stepped building comes into view, and they land the ship on an adjacent parking tower where they found an open space.
I saw a thing. Did you see the thing this week? Actually, just yesterday on the Star Wars YouTube channel, there was a thing with Doug Chang.
I must have missed that
Doug
one.
Chang, production designer. He was talking about the U-wing, and that the reason for the wings up front like that. Gareth Edwards originally said he wanted something evocative of Superman. So with the
That
wings
actually makes a
forward,
lot of
like,
sense.
yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, it would cut through hyperspace easier and
Yeah,
give you that visual. But peering out the window of the U-wing, Melshi asks Cassian where Luthen is. He tells him 27 West and points up to the corner of the building. And we cut to the ISB building where a new version of an Imperial transport shuttle flies swiftly towards the signal's origin.
I love this shuttle. Might be my new favorite shuttle.
Well, we'll get there in a second.
What letter is between Rho and Lambda in the Greek
I don't
alphabet?
know. Yeah.
But inside the shuttle, we see assorted soldiers in partial stormtrooper gear, tapping their rifles and, impatiently tapping their feet. Sergeant Gariel, walks towards the front, doling out orders and hands some body armor to Hirt as he takes his seat for landing. Sergeant Gariel is played by Andrew Brooke, who you may remember from back in 2012 in season 7 of Doctor Who, where he played the gunslinger.
No,
I saw someone 3.75 vintage collection, but an awesome mod of a shore trooper and an Indiana Jones German brawler from Raiders.
Yeah.
And they made an awesome custom Garrel.
Nice.
After Rho in the Greek alphabet, Hank, is Sigma.
It's a Sigma shuttle then, boys.
Sigma. Lambda. I don't even see Lambda on here.
I don't think that's an official.
There is a Lambda, which is...
Well, there has to be, because Revenge of the Nerds was the Lambdas.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
By Decapitator.
But we cut back to the ISB control room, and Partagas stands over the shoulder of a tech agent who informs him that they are online and connected with open lines. And Partagas nods. We do get some Orabesh on this text screen. Most of them are TK designations, nice. Along with the words Signal Strong and the letters LYLS on the top of the screen. It's kind of similar to the displays in Aliens, where the Colonial Marines had all their vitals being monitored.
Oh, yeah.
So, and you can't read it, but she does tap one of them and say, that's Supervisor Hirt.
Oh, right.
So, this is also our first appearance of this new Imperial shuttle variation. The TAC 171 unit is a connecting step, basically, between, like you said, the Lambda and the Rho class Imperial shuttles.
Somewhere in between. Yeah. And it's funny. I know we're just kind of laughing here, but you did say Sigma. And just for shits and giggles, I just looked up Sigma. There is a Sigma class shuttle in Star Wars Legends.
No kidding.
Yeah. So let me hang on a second, bring that up again. Can you solo for a second, Andy?
Yeah, sure.
It's not that far off. Let me I'm gonna dim this so it can show up.
Ooh, cracked.
It is not that far off, to be honest.
Oh
yeah, eh?
Sigma class shuttle.
Long range. Nice.
Huh.
I call that a scoop, baby.
I still feel like it definitely like for this version, it's definitely steeped in the row class. Like you can see it in the wings, and then that big cargo door or the
Mhm.
large door on the back.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
the bottom front of the row class is just cut off of the underside of the front, right?
They took a lambda nose, chopped it down, and went, "Here you
Yeah.
go."
It's still got that insect looking like that bee looking
Yeah,
nose.
but this is I like this.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah. So that is our Imperial ISB tactical shuttle. But cutting back over, Cassian and Melshi make their way towards the apartment building, passing by a member of the species that Euphis Brio belongs to.
Uh, yes.
Yeah, these guys first appeared in
Yes.
Rise of Skywalker, but they made multiple appearances over the course of Andor.
Nice.
Um, Cassian checks his comms, and K2 notes that he doesn't like it here as he watches from the ship. Cassian tells him keep the ship running, but the droid sighs and again humanizing. Right, he slumps back in his seat like, oh. Behind him, though, at the back of the ship, there is a very round. I don't know if it's a doorway or just a port or like a access hatch,
Mm.
but the colors on it,
Oh, the
very
color scheme.
particular color scheme resembling a lovable orange and white BB droid.
If I had a lighter, I'd light it for
But Cassian and Melshi
Oh.
pass by other citizens on their. There you go. They pass by other citizens on their way to the elevators, and behind them, it looks like a couple could be using basically a Coruscant version of a visitor's map.
You are here.
Basically. But we cut back to the tac shuttle, and Holopuck gets passed around with a portrait of Clea, and here it tells the tactile agents that she should be considered armed and dangerous, but it's imperative that she be taken alive.
Mm.
And just then, the pilot signals here that they're closing in, so he should join the pilot and Sergeant Gariel? Yeah, Gariel.
Gariel. Yeah, yeah.
Gariel. I'm going with that. In the cockpit. But he gives the command to shut down the area, which is relayed by the pilot back to the tech at ISB headquarters. And she flips a few switches and pushes a red button, basically cutting off all comms in the area. This scene gives us our first good look at the Primo Tech agent, played by Zora Bishop, who you may know from Coronation Street, where she played Sabine Habib. She was also in the voice cast for Star Wars Outlaws.
We
Oh,
don't have a
cool.
role for her, do we?
No, she was just listed as voice.
Additional voices.
So yeah, also in Final Fantasy 16 and Diablo 4.
Yep.
Other thing to note here, as far as I can tell, this pilot's helmet is another
I
variation.
sent you a message afterwards after
Yes.
you asked, but
Now Hank had pointed out that it's kind of close to Callus's from Rebels.
yeah,
But like you said, it does appear to be what was the AT-AT driver with the front
it's the
portion removed.
The tank driver.
ATACT driver.
Yeah.
And that there's a Rogue One connection here. Sorry, let me get it.
I've got the figure right here.
Yeah, that's the one.
Here, I'll just solo you. Solo Hank.
Yeah, so you could see
They've just cut out the centerpiece, the nose and the
right.
visor.
Yes.
So just reversing basically, but adds a new variant,
But
right?
you know, looking at that now, especially close up, I'm
Yep.
reminded of the original Battlestar Galactica helmets.
Like the Colonial Warrior.
Colonial, like they're obviously influenced by the Egyptian, but I see a strong influence there. Yeah, that's the one.
Cool. Oh, yeah, I just thought that was kind of neat. But back on the U-wing, a buzz from the radio catches aboard K2's attention. And again, he's sitting there with his head in his hand, all slumped over.
I'm bored.
I didn't know droids had to relax like that.
I'm bored.
It's so, I mean, you know, it's a CGI character, but they really let Alan Tudyk be, you know, they screen it's a mocap character. So all that is, you know, the double takes and the even the way his eyes dart back and forth is all the actor, which is fantastic.
Oh, got a couple comments here. Joash says that's cool.
Yeah.
And looks kind of like a backstop helmet.
From baseball.
There you go.
Yeah, I get it. I get that.
Hey, Doug's in the house.
Woo!
Why, thank you, Sir
Okay.
Illingsworth. I appreciate that.
Josh has a
We wouldn't
misheard
be
lyric
awesome
for
without
it.
an audience, though.
No, of
No, it's
course not.
true.
Apparently, Josh has a
I would be
misheard
a
lyric for
narcissist.
Tuesday.
Well, that's good, Josh. Hold on to your misheard lyric.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotta
we'll
let
do it
that
at
us
the end of
know.
the show if you're still around. Yeah.
Definitely need that.
Yeah. But back here, he toggles a couple switches, but to no effect. And Cassian and Melshi wait for the elevator and radio back that everything is all clear so far, but their message doesn't go through. And two residents exit the building, including a Nemera. This species first appeared in Last Jedi, but they've been popping up all over since.
Yeah.
Again, Cassian radios back, but K2 doesn't respond. Something is not right. And on the ship, K2 utters, "Oh no," as the comms aren't working. And then another, "Oh no," at the sight of the Imperial tactical shuttle landing outside the apartment entrance. As the elevator nears floor 27, Cass asks Melshi, "Are you all right?" He says, "Yeah, I'm good." And the doors slide open and they exit the elevator with their blasters drawn and slowly make their way into the corridor. Oh,
Oh, G.I. Joe backstop.
okay.
Oh.
A little bit, actually.
Hmm.
Now I need to look him up.
Yeah, I do not have a clear visual of him in my head.
You'll have one in a second.
Okay.
I'll get you one.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh, we've caught the attention of the Empire.
What?
That is awesome.
Well then.
Also, eat it. I guess.
Listen, space fascist. Oh, I see it.
Seriously, thank
I,
you for
I
joining
see
us.
it now. There it is.
Oh, okay,
Sure.
yeah.
Backstop. I get it.
Yeah,
Power
okay.
doesn't panic. I want to take a picture of that. That's so friggin' cool.
here we can throw that up for you.
Put that back up
There you
there.
go.
Screen cap. I'll
That's
get you something
awesome.
over here.
Get over there.
Is that a YouTube channel? That's a YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We will definitely be checking
I'm
out your
subbing you,
channel.
bro. I don't
We're
care.
checking
I'm
your
subbing
channel
you.
out. We're
Yeah,
gonna run
man.
get some counterintelligence on
Yeah,
there.
we're gonna do some. We're on to you. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you very much. That made my night.
But as they peek around the corner, looking down the dilapidated hallway, lights flicker and water drips, and Cassian notes that it's the one at the end of the hall. And Melshi kind of looks at him. He's like, "It's been a while." So that's why I think, this has fallen into a little bit of disrepair since they were there.
Well, he hasn't been here in 2 years.
Yeah. But
One thing for sure, though, there's no furniture in the bedroom anymore.
no, like the place has been stripped
When
down.
Clay is standing there, like it's
She had
nothing.
it,
Sparse,
she had it
yeah.
like, homied out, right?
Yeah, she did.
And that I'm looking at that and I'm like, is this Cassian seeing the hallway like this just a reminder that you can't go home? Like this was never going to be your home with Bix?
I don't know. This is not ISB in relation, just Imperial Army. Just
There you
doing my job.
Fair.
Awesome. Oh,
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Sorry, dude.
Toss it back up.
There you go.
There we
But
go. I love it.
outside, we cut again to outside, and the tactical unit deploys from the transport with Sergeant Gahari. I'm going to screw this guy's name up the entire show, aren't I?
Goril?
Gariel.
Ariel. And he asks,
It could be Gahariel.
I think the descriptive audio pronounces it Goril, but
Garil.
that's how I have it phonetically spelt in my notes. So
To that,
we'll all butcher it.
to that pronunciation though, gorilla. He asks here if the trace is complete. The response, no.
Great, babe.
We get a wicked scale of how large this guy is.
He's a big man.
Dude.
He is
He's a big dude.
big guy.
Talking about the Indiana Jones, the brawler. I mean, it could have been him.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah. But inside the safe house, there's a knock at the door, and it stirs Clea, who's been sitting with her head in her shoulders.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. And she's been sitting by the fractal radio, so she grabs her blaster and moves towards the door. And back on the tac shuttle, two arms fold out on the scanner, and like you say, looks very much influenced by the PKE meter from Ghostbusters. But here it tells the pilot to radio in that they're ready to go before exiting the shuttle.
Is that a flux capacitor? You're just happy to see me.
That's a PKE meter, man.
It's what happens when a PKE meter has a baby with a flux capacitor.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Oh, that's so good.
But we cut back to Luthen's gallery, and Joy Daly tells Lepori begin transmitting the signal. And at the safe house, we do see a light start blinking on the fractal unit, but it's unnoticed by Clea, whose attention is fully focused on the door. Cassian continues to knock and then calls to Luthen, identifying himself. But Clea opens the door and hits the button, and the two men lower their blasters. And she looks up and she says, "It would be you, wouldn't it?" And Cassian asks where Luthen is. But we cut back outside, and the tactical unit is in the square as here it scans the building, and the device aligns these little hexagons, and it beeps, having found the receiving signal. Cutting back to inside, Clea frantically relays the information to Cassian and Melshi, and she can't get the words out fast enough. How all of it's connected, how Emperor Palpatine's energy project is a lie, how it's all about building a super weapon. And Cassian asks her, "Are you sure Luthen's dead?" And oh my God, you see her heart drop. Like, she just stares back at him, twitching. We know what happened, but Cassian has no idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside, Grill lays out a plan, and here
What?
again emphasizes we need Clea alive. And he says, "You've told him that twice already." And they move forward. Inside the safe house, Clea continues to unload information to Cassie, and including Galen Urso, which she tells him, "Repeat what I just said." But he calmly says her name, and then she barks at him, yelling to repeat what I've told you. And it's almost like Luthen to her, right?
Yeah, it's the same sort of
the same emphasis where he was
She has
like,
no intention of going with him.
No, she doesn't.
No.
But she looks at him with almost distrust, like, you don't believe me. And she further tells him that this intel came directly from ISB the previous morning, and stresses that Luthen died for this information, which I believe is enough for Cassian, because he steps forward and tells her, "We can't stay here." And then she questions him, "And where are we going to go?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are two sergeants.
There are.
Grail and Benzie.
Yeah, Team 1 and Team 2.
Good on saying Grail.
But outside the building, the elevator opens, and here Garil and Team 1 enter, leaving others behind to secure the entrance. One agent throws out the classic line, "Nothing to see, keep moving." And back upstairs, Clea balks at the idea of Yavin, knowing full well what they thought of Luthen, but he insists that they'll be safe there. And he tells her that the rebels on Yavin need to hear this info, but she tries to convince him to deliver the message, but he says, "No, I'm not going to leave you behind."
It's kind of at this point in the episode where you finally get this idea that, like, oh, you know how in the beginning of the show there was like Mon and Luthen,
Yeah.
and then you had Saw, and Saw was always the wild card.
Yeah.
Now at some point,
Luthen has become.
They've all broken away. Who's broken away from who, though?
Well,
Luthen hasn't broken away from the rebellion.
No.
The rebellion has broken away from him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of just left him behind.
Yeah. But one floor below, Team 1 tactical unit moves through a much brighter, well-maintained hallway. One alien steps out of his door, but they instruct him to remain inside.
Stay in your home, sir.
Yeah. And inside the shuttle cockpit, the pilot sits idle with his feet on the dash. And radio chatter comes in from the bridge asking if anybody required or requested an enforcement droid. And this raises an eyebrow back at ISB, as no one requested any droid assistance. And on the bridge, again, K2O, he briskly strides towards that building. And as he approaches, a soldier on the bridge asks, "Are you with us?" And he takes a couple more steps. No. And then he just backhands the dude right off the bridge.
I think we all kind of, saw that in the marketing and went, "Oh,
inverted from the marketing." You notice that?
Good. What's that?
It's inverted from the marketing.
Oh, it is too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
But
want a fresh one?
in the cockpit, somebody calls back that it's probably just a local patrol and they should just send him back. But a commotion below jolts the pilot, only to see K2 has taken out another soldier and is boarding the ship. Back at the ISB headquarters, we get a fraction of a message before the screen monitoring the TAC 171 goes red, causing our Primo-Tech to look at Major Partagas. The musical cues here start to intensify as Team 1 approaches the door, blasters at the ready, And the door slides open, and we see from the inside first, Heert is like first in, right?
Good for you, Heert.
Yeah.
Good for you, buddy. Lead from the front.
Yeah, your shoulder pads almost fit.
Yeah. But it's the wrong apartment, and they shock the hell out of this old couple,
It's the Ropers.
basically. The Ropers on Coruscant. But one floor above, Cassidy's telling Clea that she'll be safe on Yavin and that she can tell them the information together with him. And she tells him once, "You said you were done." But he replies back, "Yeah, you told me I was wrong." And then on the floor below, Heert's scanner pings up again, and he asserts that Clea is directly above them. So they move out from the apartment of the old folks, and it's kind of weird. They're all just chilling in the kitchen. Like, even the old guy's got his cup of coffee.
Yep.
So, and there is a stark contrast to this apartment and the safe house one.
You mean the redress set?
Basically, it's like it's clean, it's lived in,
it's well lit.
bright.
You gotta wonder what they thought the sound of her breaking the wall open to
Oh
get
my
the
God.
radio out
Yeah,
was.
because that would have resonated right down the floor. But back above, Clea kind of unloads on Cassian a bit, telling that he left her and Luthen behind. And he asserts that he made a choice, and it was the right choice, because no one can do this alone.
So there you go. So again, they all just kind of
They
maybe they did leave
right?
Luthen.
Yeah. But he notes that Luthen knew this, but he couldn't swallow his pride.
Maybe that's why she doesn't want to go. Like it's that whole like
Well,
I resent you for leaving us.
Yeah, well, and that too, like, Luthen and her devoted so much to this, and they don't even trust him, right?
I
Like,
don't think it's so
I
much.
think a lot of
Cassian,
it might
but
even be like the subtext is that this was her life and that's over. And
that
without
too.
Luthen, like,
That too.
you could see her easily when they leave and leave her behind. She grabs a pistol and
yeah,
does the
sadly,
move. Right.
yeah. But
There's
like,
a scene in my episode where her for the all three episodes her countenance changes when the hope strikes her.
mhm,
Yeah.
We'll get into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
yeah. But like I say, this sets her off, and she grabs Cassian right by the lapels and coldly states, "Thank the galaxy that he didn't. He stayed for this. He stayed for what I just told you." And she emphasizes to Cassian that he needs to tell those on Yavin about this, and he nods. And then she wells up with tears in her eyes, and she tells Cassian, "You owe him that." Outside in the hallway, the scanner continues to beep as the TAC Team 1 makes its way up the hallway towards the safe house, and the music just builds and builds and builds, and we cut to black.
Oh,
I know, eh?
It's like,
It's over.
oh, here we go. Oh, God damn
Nope,
it.
it's over.
oh.
Yep.
And unlike season 1, you don't have a week to wait.
No. So
No.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
No. I gotta do my annual 7.
Oh my gosh, it's the weekly.
It's the weekly.
The weekly
Get
top
rid of
40.
my old bladder.
This is what happens when when you're north of 50, right?
Yes. Yes.
All
Wake
you
up and
young
the check
whippersnappers.
engine light comes on. I thought about putting a catheter in for tonight, but
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I'll be right back, fellas. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, I'm trying to let me see if I can find let me just turn my volume down. There you are.
Oh, you found him.
I did. I had to go to our own YouTube feed to find it.
It's all good. If you haven't been watching the declassified stuff, though, definitely give that stuff a watch. Like, not only does it add new layers to it, but it's a wonderful peek behind the curtain, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially with last week's in the Gorman Massacre episode, where you get to see a little bit of the stunt stuff that happened with a K2 unit.
I've enjoyed that stuff. Like one thing about that is how fast they've been getting those declassifieds. Like they're out the same night. Like I finish watching the episodes, I go to bed and I'm kind of tooling through YouTube and it's like, oh, they're already there, which is a big contrast to the episode guides.
Yes,
which kind of suffered this season, I think.
Yeah, they were still fun. They had some good stuff in them.
They were up faster.
They were,
but to me, they seemed
less informative.
Yeah, because we were getting one episode guide per 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Instead of a dedicated one for each episode, which up until now, excuse me, that's the way it's been.
Yeah. So when you're getting that data on the trivia bank, it is for all 3 episodes where Yeah, like you said, we were getting
Like, it was just an
pre-trivias, right?
it just worked out that I happened to look up Natolan Bleeder
Mm.
and got the hit on the databank because it's not mentioned anywhere and it's
No,
not highlighted text anywhere.
no.
Like, that's the kind of thing, like, if each episode had have gotten its own guide,
Dedicated guide, yeah.
they probably would have included that as one of the, "Oh, here's one of the things.
Mhm.
The Gungan skull, come on! The Sith Empire?"
Mhm.
Ugh.
So cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Random Fandom coming up Tuesday, episode 101.
Is that all?
Is that all? Yeah, that's all.
And we can talk about toys without having to say the words tariff.
Yes, we can. Actually, toy folks, if you have not gone to rebranded now as EB Games, the Canadian GameStops,
Canadian, yeah.
McFarlane stuff is on crazy clearance these past week, and there's still a lot out there to get. So, head out and check out your GameStops, folks. And I think I hear Hank coming back, but I don't know. I don't
I
see
just
him
heard a
yet.
door. All I heard was a door.
That was one thing I did read this week. There's no hinges in Star Wars. All doors go up, sides down, whatever.
Or Iris.
Yeah, or
there is that.
crosshatch. And
It's funny when you talked about that stuff. Like, there's that whole, like, there's no zippers in Star Wars. Well, in fact, all of the pants in A New Hope were just dyed
yeah,
blue jeans. So, yes, there were. You may not have seen them, but there are.
that's another one that came up was
No knives.
exactly no
What do you mean,
knives.
no knives?
So as we've seen, knives are popping up everywhere.
They are. And I mean, if you don't include a vibro blade as a knife, then
Yeah.
what? It just makes no sense. Any idea where to get a Doomslayer?
Ooh.
Isn't that a Warhammer?
Ooh.
Doomslayer?
I'm not 100%.
I don't
But I
know.
do know some of that
Doomslayer.
some of the Warhammer figures are on sale included under the McFarlane brand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Check me out in the private chat later, Dougie. We'll go over that. We'll go over that. Oh my.
We have arrived.
We have arrived.
Oh, it's the final episode.
I spelled Kyber wrong.
Kyber.
Dude, that's like Splinter of the Mind's Eye spelling.
I was gonna put a Y in Urso just to,
There's an
H.
it's been
Silent H.
spelled like a bunch of different ways.
It has.
Years, so it's okay.
It has. Jeddah, Kyber, Urso. I don't even know what
Are
to
those
say,
questions?
man.
Are they questions?
No, that's her talking, right? Like
This is the finale. Yeah,
I know.
Narrowed down to words.
Yeah, it's the 12th episode. It's
So
the final episode.
Can I get into the like, this is me picking the stuff out of the stuff. This is the scene at the end of the episode as he's walking up to get on the U-wing to fly off to Kafrene. Look what's on his hip.
Yes, sir.
That is not the thing. It's the other thing. It's the convertible thing.
Yes.
Which does not work when we get to Kafrene.
Yeah.
Spend so much time on the outfit too, right?
To recreate the outfit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We painstakingly recreate the costume, but we gave him the wrong firearm.
Well, maybe he puts it in the dash.
It's my Glock.
You do know that he stores weapons within his ships. Look at how he escaped
No,
from
you're right.
From the
you're right.
Weird Little Rebels in way back.
I mean, they explained the briar to you, so maybe you give them one.
that it was Clem's, right?
Well, no, that suddenly he doesn't have the briar anymore, and we have.
I said last week he's going to lose it.
Yeah,
he had to lose it.
I'll show you right exactly
and he does
where.
lose it. Yeah, absolutely.
12th and final episode, fellas. Bitter, bitter, bitter sweet. Jeddah Kyber Urso, directed by Alonso Ruiz Palacios, written by Tom Bissell. That guy. I got to find out more about that guy. Runtime 48:15 with bookends, 37:49 without bookends. Cassian returns to Yavin with intel that will change everything. Will it change the ending of Rogue One?
Everything except that. Everything except that.
Where's my... Oh, what did I do?
I don't know. What did you do?
I'm looking for my buttons and I can't.
What do you want to do? Right in the middle of the slide presentation.
I know. And
Click on it.
Why does that keep doing that to me?
I don't know what it's doing to you.
Uh-oh.
It's playing this like a loop.
Hmm.
Now.
No. There it is.
There you go.
What was
it the
that?
wrong layer?
Yeah.
Just needed to switch layers.
Okay. Please stand by.
Should be the bottom one, right?
Yeah, I got it now.
Aha! There we go. It's all working now.
I got it.
That's live, baby. That's live.
Live
What's a show without
TV.
technical difficulties?
That's right.
We open right where we left off last episode. Cassian and Melchi are trying to convince Clea that she must return to Yavin with them. She feels like Yavin is a bitter ending. Cassian tells her that nothing is ending and that she can rest there. She thinks she'll be a prisoner, but he thinks she'll be hailed as a hero. After all, she helped build Yavin. Melchi reminds her that she needs to tell them what she knows. Cassian refuses to leave her behind in any instance. Meanwhile, the ISB observation center, the tech can't get a signal from the tactical shuttle. Partagas stands over her, visibly trembling. He knows what's at stake here. All across the room, screens signal tactical line failures. We don't have to wait to find out why. We see the pilot of the ISB shuttle, his head bashed bloody on the smashed console, while K2 strides down the landing ramp behind.
Should have left the helmet on.
He should have left the helmet off. Not that it wouldn't have mattered, but
it's because he didn't do up the chin strap.
Maybe not so much blood on the. Yeah, he Porkins. Poor bugger. He Porkins.
Let that serve as a lesson, children. Always wear your chin strap.
Always wear your chin strap. As ISB TAC Team 1 Sergeant G checks his waves,
that's him.
He's wondering about the sudden lack of comms, but here it says they're wasting time. Each man in turn flips on their barrel-mounted flashlight. Cassian blasts the fractal radio, which curiously goes unheard by the ISB. We're now on the floor. As the team makes its way down the darkened halls, we see them covered in plastic sheets, as if for renovation or medical emergency.
Or meth lab.
Yeah, Grell tells the men to alter formation. Taking 2 men with him, he tells Hurt to tuck in and leaves a man back with him. Cass tries to reach K2 to no avail. As he moves to the door with Clea and Melchi, hearing the door open, the men halt and wait. Melchi steps into the corridor.
I just thought this moment is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's
Stop.
Don't move. Woo! Grell yells to Melchi to raise his hand slowly as they bathe him in their harsh floodlights. But Melchi deftly darts back inside the room. Cass tells him to leave the door open, and the 3 rebels take up firing positions. Meanwhile, K2 makes quick work of the perimeter guards, picking up one up by the chest plate and slamming him to the deck, while the second man, and I believe that's the other officer, I believe the other sergeant that our Imperial friend.
Oh, yeah, the other team sergeant.
Team 2 leader.
Yeah, Benzie. Gets kicked, like a straight push kick to the chest, sending him flying meters with tremendous force. Back in the hallway, Grill tosses a stun grenade into the room. It looks like a black version of a thermal detonator, like a mini thermal detonator. The device bounces into the room and lingers for a second before detonating in a bright flash and a loud, booming thump. The rebels fall prone. Clea is knocked hard against a wall and unconscious.
I was hoping somebody would have had the mind presence to kick it back out into the hall.
It's like they all stared at it, not knowing what it was for a split second.
Oh, dear.
No, but if you throw something into it, I don't care if it's a stuffed animal, I'm kicking it out.
Is that the moment? Is that the moment?
Yeah.
When the grenade goes off, is that the moment where he loses it?
Yes. I'll get there. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to get.
No, that's okay. That is the moment. Melchi, most shielded by his position, blasts an ISB member as he attempts to breach the door. In the shock and awe, Cassian claws at the floor for a weapon, having dropped the briar, shielding Clea as ISB return fire. K2 arrives at floor 27, armed with the Imperial rifle. Back at ISB observation, Partagas desperately tries to send backup, but a tech informs him everyone is out running the emergency disease warrant. I want to pause there for a second. The emergency disease warrant. So how
they have wasted so much personnel on that.
How COVID-like is that?
Yeah. They got the COVID.
Yeah. But he also says we want to make, like, how do we convince people to turn her in or what have you? she's got a disease and she's infectious and she needs to be found now. And now we see the disease warrant that he had mentioned in the last episode
Yeah,
in
yeah.
play. Everybody's tied up running this search warrant. Disease warrant.
Literally shot themselves in their own foot.
Yeah. He demands she flood it and get everything down there available. K blasts the flank guard as Heert returns fire, hitting the approaching KX droid squarely in the chest several times before he's scooped up like a rag doll and using him like a shield as Grill lays down weapon fire, pumping the man full of blaster bolts. The ultimate expression of "I will use the weapons of my enemy" against him, and I got to thank Doug for pointing that out. The ultimate expression of "I'm going to use the enemy's
For
means
every
against him."
time you've ever played a video game and used the term meat shield.
Meat shield.
And like just how quickly they threw aside their because they should have all been set to stun, right?
Yeah,
'Cause they're
but
like,
well,
"Take her alive."
are they trying to bring them in alive?
Yeah,
They
they
are
want
trying.
Clay
Okay,
alive.
I guess so. Yep, yep.
She's the one who knows what.
But it is literally the flick of a switch.
It is.
Yeah, and they're already receiving I got comments. There's a throw that up there.
I cut comments. Empire can't hear on my end. You fellas, great job on the microscope on the minor small details. In my opinion, you three rival great YouTube on audio past the Cantina cast.
That is high praise. Thank
Hey,
you
thanks,
so
man.
much. Thank you so much.
Cheers. That's awesome.
You know, we steadily draw. We have such a small audience. I mean, you can see just from the numbers in this live stream. But
Small but dedicated.
yeah, the people that show up genuinely like what we do. We know that we are a different kind of show. Like it's nobody. I shouldn't say nobody. I am not aware of many other YouTubers, live streamers that talk about Star Wars that go into the minutia like we do. And I've said it before, if you've watched any of our shows, you could watch our show and experience the thing we're talking about as if you had never watched it before, and
Yeah,
you would be right up to speed.
yeah.
So
And
it's not
crazy.
for everybody. Yeah, we are. We are.
We will look for them. Swear
Mhm.
to God, we will. Absolutely. Blasting the flanking soldier, K whips Grell down the hall, and he falls with a mighty thud into the safe house threshold. K steps into the door, stating Riley, "Cassian, I've cleared a path." And
Thank you,
and I'd
K2.
said I expected some comedy relief
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
But it's understated. It's perfect. It's not over the head. It's not like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just that dry,
Yeah, he's plainly stating
childlike
fact.
nature of K2. It's perfect, perfectly executed. At ISB observation, a tech struggles to coordinate other TAC teams in the chaos. Partagas begins to visibly shake. The rebels exit past the ISB shuttle and a crowd of onlookers gathers. Melshi carries the still unconscious Clea. The U-wing lifts off smoothly, ascending through through the city to the clouds, just as police swoops arrive. Remember these police swoops from the Clone Wars episode where
I do.
Ahsoka
Yeah.
escapes? Same
Yeah,
vehicles.
they are the same. We've seen them in live action already too.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep. These are essentially redressed LAAT
Yeah.
clone gunships, but these are like the police variant.
Stripped down version.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
On board the U-wing, Melshi tends to Clea, who has recovered consciousness. We see she has a large wound to her forehead. Joining K2 in the cockpit, the droid posits that any doubts about his value have been erased. Cassian tells him to speed up, seemingly ignoring the comment. Then classic K2 dryness. You're welcome.
It's only taken him a year to make that assertion.
Yep.
It's awesome.
I'm worth it now, right?
We return to Yavin Base, which we see as a bustling hive of activity. We see several Blue Squadron X-Wings being serviced by Tax's pilots and droids busily move about. That's a weird typo. In the council room, a hologram of Saul Guerrera addresses Mon Mothma. He wants to know why he's being scolded for troubling them. When he's being scolded for troubling them, he's reminded that the rebellion is bigger than all of them. But when But when it's the Council's inconvenience, the Alliance is small and fragile. Mon knows that Saw is on Jeddah, that he's been picking off Imperial transports. She claims that it's drawing too much attention and making things difficult for everyone. She wants to help him, but he's mad, concerned with her spies, telling her that he's able to stay alive because he can bend them as he wishes. She tells him it's the Empire and not the rebellion that's after him. But he returns, "If only you could fight as well as you lie." And the transmission ends. Bale, Mon, and Draven discuss the legitimacy of the intel and Saw's relative sanity. Draven says that they've been getting intel on him for a year, so they've had somebody inside Saw's organization for a year. Turns out we later on we know who that is actually.
Did anybody else kind of get taken aback when they show Mon first looking
In her Return of the Jedi look?
yeah,
Yeah, like
or
no
the
makeup,
Rogue One look?
stripped down, like very plain, very understated. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sort of like
It was like, look at her now. She's fully evolved into that leader.
this is the superhero now. Like
Yeah.
she's no longer wearing the costume,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
kind of
None of the trappings of the Senate anymore.
absolutely. Lieutenant Poyle interrupts, telling them Admiral Radis is requesting Draven. U-wing is coming in hot, unauthorized, and requesting landing coordinates. Bale asks if it is Andor, returning in a stolen ship from an unauthorized mission. Draven returns, "You could make that case." Still sort of protecting him, right?
A little bit.
A little bit
Yeah,
protecting him,
yeah.
yeah. Mon remarks to Bale that this makes the Senate look easy. In the Rebel war room, Tech informs Radis and Draven that the ship is still transmitting. Radis scrambles 3 fighters with 2 on deck as backup. The U-wing dips below the cloud line and swooshes toward the Massassi Temple. K2 is trying to transmit to the base, saying they should have filed a flight plan. Clea looks like she's beginning to recover more. They aren't answering because it could be anybody flying. Kay suspects they'll be shot down, but disobeying orders is so refreshing. 2 Red Squadron X-wings engage. He sent up 3. Remember, he scrambled 3 fighters, but
Yep.
two Red Squadron X-wings engage S-foils and intercept the ship, saying they will escort them in. A failure to comply with direct orders will result in their immediate destruction. Kay quips that he's going to say he was kidnapped. Turning, he waves out the window to the escort.
Hello.
Awesome. I love Tudyk so much. As air raid sirens blare and troops begin to mobilize towards the tarmac, Willman limps along, obviously still bearing the aftermath of his leg wound from a year later. Surrounded by 20 or more rebels, the U-wing sets down with its X-wing escort. That's hard to say, too. The side hatch opens and Cassian emerges, surprised by the display of security. Draven halts him as he steps down from the ship. He tells the rebel general the woman with him is injured, but Draven wants to know who else is with them. I realize in this moment that the security is because they think it's Luthen. Kay bends down with a hearty hello. Cassian insists that it's just them, saying Clea needs a doctor, please. Draven tells the men to lower their weapons and get the woman to the med bay. They take Melshi into custody, and Draven tells K2 to power the ship down, walk away, and then power himself down. Cassian further insists he has important news.
I guess they softened on keeping Willman confined to his quarters until further notice.
Yeah.
He's out wandering around again.
Where are you going to go? That's true. Draven marches Cass. Man, there's so many different variations of misspelling these names that don't have like an actual English spelling. Vassian. Perfect. Sounds like a thing you get operated on. Anyway, Draven marches Cassian into the Rebel Council room. There's Mon, Bale, and Radis. They're joined by Senators Palmo and Jebel. They gather around the table. Radis reminds them that they don't have a full quorum as Dodonna and Merrick are out. Bale addresses Cassian, asking what it was that caused him to so recklessly abandon every rule they live by. Cass admits he did go rescue an old friend, but it was the intel he received that made him return so recklessly. Andor informs them that Luthen is dead and that they found Clea in an old safe house. Cass tells them that what he knows, that Luthen had a source inside the ISB for years, Turns out the secret energy program is a front for some type of super weapon. The senators seem more accusatory than enthralled about the intel. Cass further tells them that the Gorman destruction, the Kyber mining on Jeddah, the an animal engineer, that's funny as hell, an imperial engineer named Galen Ursol are all connected deeply. That's funny. But Palmo and Jubble are almost ignorant,
Yeah.
calling it a paranoid fantasy. And I'm reminded of Senator Ziano from the New Republic. I
Oh,
dislike both of those
Ziono.
people so much.
You just want
Well,
to smack him, right?
it gets worse though. Like
It does get worse.
we've all watched Rogue One recently.
Mhm.
He has this outburst in the war room. The rebellion is finished. Like he's
Yeah,
cashing
he's
his
the worst. You're
chips.
fired, buddy.
He's
You're a
awful.
civilian. Get out of
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Basilisks. That's crazy. I'm reading ahead. Sorry. It quickly turns into a Luthen rail roast, and Cass moves quickly to defend him. It's insulting to hear him run down by people who have given a fraction of his sacrifice to this rebellion.
I love that line.
Yeah, that's a really good line.
I
And
love that line.
further to that, like we were saying, further to that article, it says, the unsung hero of the rebellion was erased from history. No, this further cements.
That's what I
his
mean. Like,
position.
yeah,
Well, I
I
mean, it's
agree with
cement
that.
in their minds, but I think like if you were to read the
Official
the
record.
official record, that
Sure.
like, yeah, there's probably no mention of him. And in fact, there's something that comes up here, and I think that some of them aren't even privy to the inner workings of their own rebellion. There's a look here anyway. Bale asks when the last time Andor and Rail spoke. Cass tells him it was a year ago when he had Cass rescue Mon Mothma from Coruscant.
As he
And
looks at her.
and but Palmo has exchanges looks with
Like
Bale.
a
I didn't know that happened.
what?
That's
Yeah.
not what we were told happened. Gold Squadron, right?
Brought you home.
So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has a
Yeah.
lot to do with them, writing reality out of existence.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's still their distrust of Luthen that rules their demeanor. Palmo calling it puffed up speculation. Radis wants to wait for Dodon and Merrick, but Cass insists that this is active intel. Cassian is grounded and confined to quarters, but he asks permission to visit the med bay, and Mon grants it quickly without hesitation.
I love that.
It's like a snap call.
There was this question about like who's in charge. And my wife, who's been watching this with me, who's not a huge Star Wars fan, she's like, "Who is this guy coming out of nowhere calling all the shots all of a
Right, right,
sudden?"
right.
And it's like trying to explain to her, "No, no, honey, like
He
she's really
looks
in
like Bail
charge."
Organa.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like after they've just confined Cassie into quarters and Bale's been throwing around his weight, which he probably could
They
as
have a
the
screaming match essentially there, him
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Cass one on one.
As the cabinet secretary, I accept that he has a lot of weight. But her without any conversation or any consultation with the others, yes, you go do that.
Yep.
Anybody gonna wanna, anybody got anything to add to that? No, I didn't think so.
As Draven escorts Cassian to the medbay, he informs them that his contact with Saw Gerrera, Typic, has sent three urgent messages from Caprine in the last 10 hours. But if Saw is on Jeddah, why are they waiting? Okay, in case anyone doesn't know or is from the same galaxy as Peridia,
Yeah.
Typic is the fellow that Cassian meets in Rogue One. He's the contact who's been embedded in Saw's group. He tells Cassian about the defecting Imperial cargo pilot on Jeddah. He tells him the weapon is a planet killer. He confirms the name Galen Urso, and after killing two stormtroopers and drawing further attention, Cassian has no choice but to kill Tevek in order to escape with the confirmation of the intel intact. This all takes place on the Ring of Caprine, a mining colony in an asteroid belt in the Thand sector. Cassian checks on Clea as a med ick checks her vitals, admitting that this isn't exactly the hero's welcome he'd promised her. Clea is frowning. She only looks away forlornly.
Killing a guy to prevent intel, he learned it from Luthen.
Yeah.
Cassian's been presented as a cold-blooded killer right from the first episode.
True.
Yeah,
He killed two cops.
He kills two cops.
Yep.
Because Kathy Kennedy said so.
That's right.
Now we can blame that on her.
Yeah.
Cop killer.
People will, and they will.
She's a cop killer. At Belle's quarters, Mon visits to tell her Luthen is dead, and Cassian has brought Clea back. Mon tells her that he's been grounded, to which the younger cousin quips he should stop saving people. But Mon has a related agenda, and she needs Belle to talk to Cassian and find out if what he's saying is true. Help her, help me believe him. Wilman and Cassian connect, and after Cass tells him of Luthen's death, telling him he made it worth it, he gives him a fatherly embrace. That's a big deal. Making it worth it. It's a phrase that's repeated over and over.
Absolutely, yeah.
In the comms section of the base, Draven is alerted to yet another message from Caffrine, this time with a caveat attached. They won't talk to anyone but Andor. Cut to the exterior of Cass's place. It's pouring rain now, and we linger for a moment on a cool shot of a fighter pilot helmet on a stump. It's a really nice shot. Visually, I included it there. Cassian and Belle drink to Luthen, to Gorn, to Nemec, to Terramin, Cinta, the Gormans, Barracks, Cass's mother, and the Donnies. Cass says he's heard people claim they were at Aldhani when it happened. Belle says she'd kill anyone she heard say that.
I think
Cass believes she would.
I like that line because it's like, I mean, having been in an organized military and knowing, how thick the bullshit can be laid on, like as soon as you tell a story,
man.
as soon as you tell a story, it automatically it comes out of your mouth with little legs on it, blah, right? And it just goes.
Right.
I would have loved to have been privy to some of those conversations in the mess tent, like, oh yeah, back on Aldhani,
Right.
back in the Donny.
Right.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Belle gets down to brass tacks, telling Andor that Mon wants to know if Luthen's story is real. He tells her he died to protect the intel, and what happened along the way doesn't matter, nor how it twisted Luthen. None of the Rebel Alliance would exist without him. Belle asks, what did Clea say? We focus on Clea now, sitting up in bed, removing the monitors from her arms as Nemec's speech begins to play over the top of the music. There will be times when the struggle seems impossible. I know this already. Alone, unsure, dwarfed by the scale of the enemy, remember this. Freedom is a pure idea. It occurs spontaneously and without instruction. Clea stands in the night air staring at the Yavin Temple. Random acts of insurrection are occurring constantly throughout the galaxy. Cutting to the ISB conference room, we see Partagaz listening to the speech over speakers. There are whole armies, battalions that have no idea they've already enlisted in the cause. Remember that the frontier of the rebellion is everywhere, and even the smallest act of insurrection pushes our lines forward. Legret enters the room behind Partagaz. And then remember this. The Imperial need for control is so desperate because it's unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks. It leaks. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear. Partagaz cuts off the recording with the press of a button. He asks Legret if he's heard it before. He says, I've heard bits and pieces. It just keeps spreading, doesn't it? Legret admits it's been hard to contain. Partagaz sheepishly asks his colleague, why do you think that is? But he's cut short as Legret informs him that the senior officer that they're waiting for you, sir. I've told them I'd bring you in myself. He asks for a few minutes to gather his thoughts, and Legret nods in agreement, excusing himself from the chamber, joining a pair of stormtrooper guards outside the door. Partagaz sits solemnly at his position at the head of the conference room. He places a back DL-44 on the console in front of himself. That's a big gun to do this with.
Yeah.
Pulling back for a long shot of the defeated ISB commander, we cut back to Legret and the troopers. When a muffled blaster bolt breaks the tension and the stormtroopers begin to react, Legret stands them down with a hand gesture, bowing his head in respect. Crazy.
I didn't think that he had that much. Like, I get it. It's a nice little moment for Legret to recognize that, some respect for his senior. But I wasn't expecting it.
No.
And a couple things.
Maybe just even respect for the station.
Well, that too, right? I wanna know how much Elizabeth Delau's arms hurt when she peeled those stickers off.
Yeah, they said they were IBs in descriptive audio, and
Holy
there's a little
crap.
dot in the center. Yeah, they did
The
it did
amount
look
of
like
skin stretching.
they were on there.
And then the other thing, I know we talked about this earlier in the week before we went live tonight, was, like, one of the things that I wanted out of season 2, I never got, and I wanted the manifesto,
Mm,
Nemec's manifesto in the
The
Polaroid camera. I wanted that to end up in Mon's hands
hands,
somewhere,
yeah.
and even though it didn't physically end up there, poetically,
It
this
ended up in
is
everyone's hands.
better. Yeah,
It
yeah.
ended up in everyone's hands.
So, like, you think he's listening to it on, like, an internal, like, private channel, but then the connotation of
push
like,
Yeah,
button
I take
stop.
it you've heard it,
it's being
hard not
broadcast
to.
everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't
So now
stop it.
it's out there. So
Yeah,
I
that's
in a
that
way,
idea is amazing.
yeah, it works just as
Yeah,
well, if
it's
not
almost
better.
as viral as the Neamos, soundtrack.
Niamos, I
Which I
love
saw
it.
in it. I just gotta digress there. It's actually in way more places than just the wedding and just the in Neamos. It's in the
There's
elevator as elevator
yeah.
music,
Yeah, yes, I heard that as
and,
well.
it's what Gilroy described as it's the number 1 song in the galaxy, so of course it's gone viral in different, genres.
There's something that came out of the media tour, since the show has wrapped up about the music. I don't know if you caught that. They use this last episode to transition,
Oh my god, did
away
they
from,
ever?
well, because Andor has largely been an electronic
Yeah,
musical score
and they transition into a more orchestral,
to try and tie it into
like,
Rogue One.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to
The
jump ahead
last
too
song
much.
morphs from Andor's theme into the Rogue One theme.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very
Not to
subtle.
jump ahead, but oh my god, was that beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. As Clea wanders about the base in the pouring rain, she helped the base she helped to create. Vel leaves Cassian's place, reminding them that he should look in on Bix. Cassian thinks she's safe where she is, and she wouldn't be with him around. Vel cautions him not to wait too long, and we already know the heartbreak that is coming. Cassian will never see Bix again. And somebody remember this scene after the last slide because I want to refer back to this
I
moment.
wanna know why would she even tell him that?
Well, I think I know, but let's please refer to
Okay,
it if you
okay.
remember after we've done the last slide.
The Vel scene. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, that's a quick one. Vel finds Clea wandering the jungle paths aimlessly. Offering her raincoat, Vel takes Clea back to her hut. Sharing a warm drink, Clea wrapped in a blanket, the pair sit across from one another at a table. Vel offers Clea her condolences, sorry for what Clea was forced to do, which Clea coldly responds with, "Had to be done." But Vel knows it gets hard constantly saying that to yourself, and softens slightly as she recalls that Luthen always used to say, "Know your way out before you go in," and that she really doesn't know where she is. Vel assures her that she has friends everywhere, and that she is among them. Convinced now of the intel, Vel goes to inform Mon, telling Clea, "Get some sleep."
Have friends everywhere.
One more
Yeah,
time.
she turns it back around, and now
Yeah.
it's almost like a threat before, and whereas
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
it's a promise.
It's a
It's a
flex, right?
right. It's a reassurance.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Back at his treehouse, built by the Ewoks. Back at his treehouse, Cassian mills about as Melshi and K2 arrive. K2 announcing that they've been freed. Melshi quipping that they got sick of listening to the droid and were kicked out. K2 says none of that was true. Draven, who is waiting outside, speaks with Cassian on the porch alone. He tells Cass about Tibik. He's to leave for Caprine tomorrow, and he's going to leave Caprine tomorrow, and that he'll only meet with Cassian. He tells Cass about the Star Destroyer over Jeddah, the Kyber crystal, the ISB moles, Luthen's death, and now coupled with Tibik's continued panic contact. If it's a trap, it's brilliant. And in the conference room, Bale sits alone, pouring over data. Sorry, as Mon and Draven bring him urgent news.
I do love the one line from K2 though.
What's
As he
that?
comes in, he's like, "That man you hate is here."
The man you don't, yeah, the man you hate is here. Yeah, that's pretty great.
I wanna know how he got Jimmy Smith's clothes.
Yeah, and job. I wonder what
Oh,
their
we already
pay
know
is.
that one.
The scale,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
scale's
yeah,
what.
yeah.
Cassian dreams of his younger sister lost on Canary. And in case there were any threads that you were going to leave untied, this show is so good at closing threads. It's not even funny, actually, because I forgot an entire season. I forgot that plot point until
That
they reminded me
it
and
started with
closed.
him looking for his
It's
sister?
it's nothing
Mm.
but a dream now.
You think
It's
so?
oh, it's beautiful. It's the thing that haunts him the most. Do you sleep well? No. It's
No.
coming up. No. Why don't you sleep well? The thing that haunts him the most out of all the people he's killed, the missions he's run, the chances he's taken, the thing that haunts him the most is that his sister. Man, that's heartbreaking. That's how
That
we
he never
started.
Never
never
found
found
her.
Oh,
her.
in his head, that's his ghost. Oh my God, that's crazy,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
Cassian
jumped ahead
dreams of
to
his
that.
younger sister lost in Canary. As K2 pokes the man who awakes with a slight start, waking humans is always is always so strange. K2 informs him that the man you do not like is here. Bail Organa stands in the circular threshold at Cass's domicile, and it's another example of that Rebel Alliance symbol,
Oh,
the
in
Mhm.
the door.
circle with the
In
slash.
the door,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it occurs so much. Bail
It's
asks, yeah,
ultimately, it's another like, it's the same way that the Phoenix emblem becomes the rebel like, the whole
yes,
they're all sort of analogous.
yes, absolutely.
Funny that they've all landed on the same symbology.
It's just that language. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Um, Bale asks Cassian if he slept well, to which he replies no, he never sleeps well. Bale finds common ground in that. He's authorizing Cassian to meet with his contact on Caprine and learn what he can. Cassian asks what changed. Bale tells him if he's going to die fighting the Empire, he's going to go down swinging. Cassian thinks that Bale might have found that he and would have gotten along with Luthen better than he thinks. Bale leaves him with the legacy line, "May the Force be with you." I think that's the first time. It's said in Rogue One, yeah, but I think that's the
Yes.
first time
Yeah.
Radis
Raditz
says
says
it
it to
to,
the
the
pilots.
rogues. Yeah. Um, did anybody else think that Bale was still in the Imperial Senate during this time?
Yes.
I
Or
see.
at
I
least connected to it through Leia.
Leia definitely, certainly in
is
Legends, comes up through the junior senatorial program and
yeah,
becomes the senator for Alderaan.
Mhm.
yeah.
But
She's an ambassador by the time Vader gets a hold of her.
yeah.
Alderaanian ambassador on a mercy mission. Um, the one thing I don't, if he's not part of the Senate, if he is, it makes more sense. But if he's not part of the Senate, why the hell does he go back to Alderaan to be blown up? Not that he knows he's going to be
Well,
blown up,
no.
but
No.
He's
it's a
just going
little.
home to the wife.
He makes
I
a
don't want
point
to
of
pull too
telling
many strings because this sweater's real nice.
when he tells Mon, next
Right.
year, implying that he's gonna show up, and he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah,
But it's
and
like,
it is a year later,
I
and he
just
is
have a
there. He is there during the speech in Rebels.
I
So
just have a hard
whatever
time
you want to believe.
reconciling because of his, let's say, because of his absence in A New Hope. I just have a hard time reconciling that he is, you know, amorphously now out of the Empire, and now
Mm,
here we go. Like, did you retire? Because
is he
if you
still?
retired,
Yeah.
like,
Well, see,
that would make sense.
if he was a problem, then um,
Then he would have been replaced in that whole swatch where they're bringing in all those new senators.
Yeah,
also
yeah,
they
yeah,
would have
yeah.
cracked down on Leia. They would have cracked down on, like, you know what I mean. So it's probably reasonable that he's still undercover as a senator at this point.
Okay.
Do more
It's probably
damage
a
from
good bet.
I
within.
do some reading on that and maybe come back with a better answer, but, that's okay.
So essentially, for the rest of the episode, to somber music that slowly turns from the Andor stuff to the Rogue One stuff, we get a montage for several minutes, 2 slides of a montage. First, it's Cassian donning his Caprine gear from Rogue One. We focus on the blaster and the jacket. It's in a very touching moment. Cassian waters Bix's plants.
I love
We
that.
Yeah, it's
Lovely
like
moment.
that got me a lot because of what a big deal she made about the plants, like trying to be normal in that the life she
Wanting
was
to
living.
Yeah.
even back in the when we pick up with them in the safe house and she's talking about, if we're gonna be here,
Let's buy
she
a
talks
bunch of
about getting
plants.
some plants, getting new
Right,
dishes.
right.
Ugh.
So we know that's the last time that he waters those as well. And
Yeah.
as Cassian heads towards the landing pad, Melshi leads a bunch of grunts on a run. He passes by, and we see Powell, and we realize that this is the squad that dies on the beaches of Scarif.
Yep.
We check in with Wilmon and Daedra, who share a meal alone. Mon and Bell sit in a mess hall surrounded by personnel. We visit Coruscant. We see that Perrin has moved on quickly with Bree Skulden, who lays drunk
Ladies
sleeping in his
Skulden.
lap in the back of an airspeeder as he
Hey,
pours himself another.
is that the same car that Cloris used to drive?
I think it
Looks like
is.
it.
It sure looks like it.
Looks
I
like
guess
it.
there was a cut scene here though that expanded on it, that would have positioned Davos Skulden more in line with the rebellion,
I did
as
read
well
something about
as
that
Perrin confronting Mom, being like, "I know you're a rebel. I was protecting you,"
the whole time,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
which would have really, altered our
That
perceptions
he
of
still,
him, right?
"I still love you, why wouldn't I?
Yeah,
I've been protecting you all this time."
yeah.
Crazy. That is a little interesting. Actually, I got to check that out.
Hopefully, it's
Clea
just like a
is in Bell's
cut scene or
quarters.
something.
We visit Dedra, who's been jaw-droppingly incarcerated in a Narkina-style prison cell.
Okay, can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Narkina
As
2.
the lights go
So
out, she
this
sobs uncontrollably, doubled over her heads in her hands. On program.
Oh, all things
Nice.
being intentional. So we have to frame that because everything in Andor is intentional.
Yes.
But we also know from our experience having reviewed all of the live action stuff that things like descriptive audio and subtitles are not infallible.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So when I go to the episode guide this week and I read that she's been imprisoned on Narkina 2,
Yes.
How many?
is that a misprint, or is that at least Narkina's 2 through 5
All prison worlds.
are prison worlds in that system?
Yeah, either prison worlds or prison complexes on that world.
Labor camps.
Either way, and they're segregated. So she's
We said that back in season 1 when when we did the stupid the the mental math on the
How
number
many
of things
people?
they were making, and it's like, is that prisoner complex over there making the same schnibbit, or is it making
yeah,
a gibbet? Like,
yeah, exactly.
so
Tab
no,
A,
Narkina
slot
5
B.
makes parts A.
After she gets over her
Narkina
first
2 makes
cry
sense.
there, she's going to be Kino Loy in no time. She'll
What
be running a ship.
so there but
She'll be floor manager or better in no
that's
time.
100% true. That much I ab or she's gonna be, "I don't wanna be anybody.
Right.
I
This
don't
breaks her
wanna."
completely.
Yeah, I just wanna
And then she just
live.
steps on a hot floor and that's it. She might not even want to live. And then, I brought up the point perhaps the perhaps prisoners were freed when and you had a really good counter to it. But I thought does the new republic free prisoners from these imperial
And
prison camps?
I
Not
don't think
regular
they just
not regular
en masse,
prisons, but the prison
the
camps,
labor camps.
the labor camps.
But, like, your labor force, how do you determine who was wrongfully convicted?
No, I agree with all your points.
And there's a
And
vetting process there, right?
we find Mayfield in a labor camp, right?
Yeah,
So they're still
yeah.
using that.
So,
Uh,
like, I feel like the vetting process alone and just given how I don't wanna say disorganized because they are starting to organize now, but, like, I feel like the early rebellion, at least they don't even become a government until the New Republic after
right, right,
Endor.
right,
Mhm.
So
right.
there's years here
The year
before we
after that too,
even
that's the
get
Battle of
To the point.
Jakku. There's a year between Jakku and Endor too. So
like, conceivably, they don't even get to these labor camps until
15 years or 20 years down
yeah,
the
like
line.
like, at the
if
time of the
if you even
Mandalorian.
find it,
That's what I
it,
mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
it could
because
just be a
Yeah.
remnant hole.
like Cassian would have knowledge of Narkina 5, but would he necessarily have knowledge of Narkina 2?
I mean, if it's on a map somewhere, maybe.
Misplaced a planet you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did how did everybody feel about Dedra's fate? I it dropped my jaw. I was like, holy crap, that's great writing. And then
Wonderful.
the thing is that we go through so many ranges the way we feel about this character. You hate her, and then you respect her, and then you like hate her again, and then you kind of like her, and then you really hate her, and then so it's like they take you through this whirlwind,
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty deserving fate. I think it's
Especially after she doubles down with Cyril, like,
Whoa.
we're the good guys. We're gonna go
Yeah,
home
yeah,
as
yeah.
heroes
yeah,
for killing
she's
all
pretty
these
good in
Gormons.
white too. So she's used
When
to being
you
in white.
when you look at her trajectory over the course of 2 seasons and then frame it against this and I don't have a hard time saying you got what you
Oh,
deserved.
big time.
You know, the like, you chewed through the one and only romantic connection they gave you for the show, and if you were willing to do that, then I know you were willing to do a lot more. So, yeah, just rewards for you, Dead Ramiro.
Yeah, on program. Back on Yavin, Cassian walks through the landing area, mirroring his final strut from the end of season one. He spots the force healer unloading crates in the transport. They share a
The
knowing
cook from
nod.
the kitchen.
Yeah,
The cook from the kitchen.
I had a note here. I felt like I wanted to say something last time and I didn't, and then I'm like I'm going to sound like uh if I had said that then I would seem like more like um I didn't say it last time and I'm not sure why I hesitated, but I'm going to
All
say
bets
that I
are off. You
wanted
say
to say
whatever
it
you
now.
want. You say whatever you
He's-
want.
um, I think when she touched him in that episode
Yeah,
before,
sure.
I think she saw his death. I think
Quite possibly. Quite
that's like
possibly.
the feeling I got back then. I couldn't articulate it, but when I see her now, and now when we talk about the possibility of Bix or Cassian being a little force sensitive or
Yep.
at whatever level that is,
Yep.
in that moment, did he see his own death too?
Oh, that's a good
Mm.
question. I mean,
Like
Bix
that
did
makes
ask him,
things
"What did you
heavy.
see? What did you see?" And he was very, like,
Oh
tense,
yeah, he did not want
freaked
to
out.
discuss it.
He was
It's
freaking
just
out.
it's a little cool subtext that makes me feel like they may have shared something seriously deep there.
That's some, like, Christopher Pike level shit from Strange New Worlds. I know how I'm gonna die.
I wonder if Cassian saw it too. On Jeddah, Saw Gerrera looks out from his makeshift base. A Star Destroyer looms over Jeddah City in the far distance. Meanwhile, Director Krennic smugly looks out as his Death Star nears completion. In the cockpit of the U-Wing, Cassian and K2 go through final checks. Cass tells K2 they are headed to Caprine and Tibik. And as it takes off into the clouds, the music builds and begins to crescendo. On Mina Rao, B2MO plays tag happily with another droid as Talia cleans up the table after a meal. Pulling
B2's got a
back.
replacement wheel there, eh?
Yeah, yeah, he does.
He's got
Yeah.
like a replacement yellow one, so he's getting,
He's had the yellow
3
wheel.
PO'd.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
had the thing for the whole.
Has he?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
thought he
I
was
got
all red.
Nope.
no, he's got a yellow wheel on
He's
the
had it
action
since
figure.
season 1.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought you may have had
I
a new one. On Mina Rao,
I'd have
B2 EMO plays happily with another droid as Talia cleans up the table after a meal. Pulling back on the rye field, we see a lone figure walking out into them. Ugh. I'm gonna try to get through this slide.
My wife knew
Ugh.
that my wife didn't say anything until afterwards. She's like, "I knew that they were doing this to her when she left." And I'm like,
Ugh.
"I didn't."
I didn't. We see him feeling. It's Bix holding a baby, and I'm a blubbering mess of emotions. Hope born of such sacrifice. The happy ending I did not expect. Cut to black.
I mean, we've always said that at the core, hope is a central theme of Star
and
Wars.
she is
Yeah.
just filled with hope there.
I know it's a girl's name, but it's what that baby's name should be.
Hope Andor.
Mm. Also, um, the actress says she knows what the baby is and what the baby's name is, but Tony
Did we,
Gilroy was sitting beside her. Did you see the interview? He's like,
no, do
he's
not
like,
say.
no. He's
Oh,
like, no.
really?
I
He's
saw
like, we
one
don't know
line.
that. He didn't like correct her. She can have her own headcanon. But he's like, we don't know the gender and we don't know the name. And I never it so what? We don't whatever. Move on.
I saw one
So you think
line.
are you telling me he's lying?
No,
No,
he's
he's just
given another line too that says, "We've just given them a new character to play with."
Ah,
sure.
right. Okay, that makes
Sure,
sense.
do what you want. But everybody's like, it's a little boy, but it's just whatever right now.
I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of memes floating around that it's Poe Dameron, but
No.
they shot that down pretty quick.
No.
No,
Well, I mean, what's that thing I sent in our group chat? It
he's
was that little headshot, like, "No, this guy's not this, and she's
yeah,
not
yeah.
No,
that."
she's not his sister, and
And then
Well, Poe,
I immediately thought and then I needed to add one for Hank, and it'd be a second shot of Clea. No,
yeah.
she's not an ISB agent.
No, no, neither is Luthen. Cassian wasn't a secret bad guy Sith
No.
or
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Um,
Do
I
we
don't know
wanna
where
go
we
back to
go
that?
from here, man.
Do we go
Let's
back
we
to
go
that,
back to Vel.
yeah,
Oh, I think that she knew. I think that Bix told her. I think she knew that this baby existed,
"Hey, Val,
and
I'm
I think
pregnant."
that that
Yeah,
was why she was
That's
encouraging
why you
Cassian
need
to
to
make
go,
contact with
"Oh, yeah.
her, and
Go,
and
don't wait
and
too
and
long."
don't wait too long. Yeah,
because
it's
it
a
means
minor
more
thing,
mad.
but I'm pretty sure that's what the subtext of
Okay,
that.
so while we're on the subject of Vel and the subject of Clea,
Mm,
we had hypothesized
They shared a
yes.
boat.
back at the wedding episode that they may have been exes.
Hmm,
Yeah, there
Do
was a
you
little
think do you think with the way the tenderness that Vel put the rain jacket on her and put the hood up, was that just sisterly, or do you think that maybe there's something for them down the road?
human to human.
Yeah,
I I mean, it's okay if there is with me. Like it would be nice for them to have something nice and connected. Um,
you know, like
knowing what happens with the rebellion,
yeah,
uh, the problems just get worse. We're about to win a fight, but it gets much worse after that.
yeah.
So I don't know how many people have time to breathe. I
It's
know
the
we don't visit these characters again. There's nothing like the destruction of
we never
Yavin that
see
would.
them again.
Hmm?
We never see them again.
Never see them again. We never see Woman
No,
again.
no.
We can assume maybe Woman is flying one of the X-wings at Yavin.
could be.
I
He's
don't know
not
if he's a
exactly a
I
pilot,
don't think
though.
he's a pilot. I think he's a technician somewhere. They play him to his strengths, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I saw one talking about, like, headcanon and stuff. I saw one where there was a shot of the ops center from Hoth,
Mm.
and you remember the woman, the comms
Oh yeah,
lady?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was an
yeah.
arrow, and it's like, in my headcanon, that's Clea.
Yeah.
Nice,
She's running comms on Hoth.
nice.
But then there's another one. This is another good one too, and it's the round table on the Death Star, and it's like, I just realized now the empty seat was Krennic's.
Mm,
How much of that they want to, even
I'm
entertain, I
I'm
don't
fine
know.
with that in my head canon.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that. The problem I see with anything that happens after this is that if these characters are, can I call them hallowed?
No, I would think so.
Yeah,
To me, these characters are so hallowed that, like, I get nervous when you start handing, and I guess I can these are going to be our future legacy characters. I get nervous when you start handing them off to other writers,
Mm,
right?
100%. Yeah,
So it's like, I don't want anybody to fumble the football.
mhm.
no,
So if we leave everybody as is right now,
yeah.
are we satisfied with that?
Yeah.
I'm okay with not knowing. Like, I'm okay with knowing what I know about the characters, and if I never hear from them again, I'm okay. There's nothing that compels me to want to. For I shouldn't say nothing, but like I want to check in with them when they're 50
Yeah.
and living
Right.
happy lives just for a split second or something like that. But there's nothing that compels me to follow their story and that I need to know.
Like,
Like,
we don't need a scene where Val goes and says, "Hey, Bix, I got some bad news for you."
No, no, we don't
we,
need that.
you know how I am
We
with
don't
like
need that.
characters
No.
like Jason Sandula
Right.
or Jason
So yeah, yeah,
Minmay.
exactly. So
But I don't
this
feel that way about this
the
this
baby?
Andor baby.
Okay,
I feel
okay.
like I want, the way I wanted Luke to not be a farmer and to go off and follow his
You
destiny.
want this kid to
I
grow up
want
to
this
be a
kid to
farmer.
be a grow up to be a farmer and be safe for the
Just
rest of
stay
his
home.
life and to be
Stay
happy and
home.
simple
Yeah,
and
no, I
not
hear
get,
you. I hear you.
it's probably not in his DNA.
I I know I said at the beginning of the show, going into Rogue One after this, and I think it was so jarring for me to see how undeveloped Cassian was. And Cassian is my, after Obi-Wan Kenobi, might be my next favorite Star Wars character. This was the I wanted this show more than any other live action Star Wars.
Mm,
And it's definitely done it for me. But having, and I said this to my wife too. We were having dinner last night, and she'd said the thing too about, it's hard to watch him be so undeveloped in Rogue One. I'm like, yeah, but he's had the equivalent of like 6 movies to be developed now. So it's,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know, it works because the
He's got more screen
contrivances that
time
they
than
built.
Luke.
Absolutely. They built in, especially these last couple of weeks, they've just built in some contrivances that just make the events of Rogue One work from a certain point of view.
Well, and that's, I mean, and that's our bread and butter. That's what we want from our guys, is to put that stuff in so it feels like organic and seamless.
Yep.
If we're
Yep.
going to retcon things, we or weave them, which is
Yeah,
what we're doing a
I
lot of.
don't want it to be
Forced.
You know,
super
and the
jarring, yeah.
simple thing I said off air, I think we might have recorded it. I don't remember we'd started, but the idea that Cassian gives lines like, I could, we've got to get out of here. I could feel the city about to blow. And then you like, that doesn't mean anything in the content. It's just like, it's an intuitive that the character has. And it's a line that was
Yeah, yeah,
written.
yeah, yeah.
But then you go, oh, he was at Gorman when it blew. He knows what it's like when a city's about to blow. Like
Yeah. Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, so you can read, you can say, okay, that's retroactive character development.
Yeah, yeah.
His although he's always been a cold-blooded killer, he's not been apt to kill somebody unnecessarily. But the things that he's learned is that this intel is worth more than this man's life.
Can I get you to go back to your first slide, Cassian, on the walk, the close-up one?
Yeah,
Would
perp
it
walk.
would it impress you to know there's a drop-down menu and you can select them by number?
I got there.
There.
We
You
we
might
didn't
Put
talk
the
though.
about
show in
this
reverse.
we didn't talk about
Oh,
this
thanks.
exclusively, but I want to address this now because this is something that I both love and hate. And the detail here is, uh,
The gonk droid.
not the Gonk droid. When Cassian goes to Kafrene and he shoots Tivik, and this is right from anybody who's on social media right now. If you're in any of the Star Wars groups, you've probably seen over the last couple of days, or maybe you haven't. The prop master, the hand prop master
Mhm.
for Andor, has gone on the social media record to say that it's Bix's pistol that he uses to shoot
Krennic.
Tivik. Yeah, it's the same one that he shoots Krennic with at the end of Rogue One. And I love that idea because there's the Bix connection.
Yeah, that he
But
held
I
on to it. But
I hate it because
that ain't it.
here's Cassian at the end of Andor walking away with his A280 convertible on his hip. He gets to Kafrene and he's got the other one, the Bix. We'll call it the Bix special. Is that what we're
Mm,
gonna Bix Lament?
yeah, Bix Lament, the
And then
baby
you don't
Bix.
see it again. You don't see that pistol again until the end of the movie when he pops Krennic in the shoulder.
Mhm.
It's one of those, like, I guess it's a continuity issue,
Could be.
and it just drives me nuts.
Or is Bix's blaster already on the ship, kind of like Han Solo's dice?
There's no reason why it can't be, but, like, when they leave the U-wing,
Mhm.
he's disguised as an Imperial officer.
So
So
there's
I just
nowhere to like
presumed
store it.
that that was the sidearm that came with the uniform.
Mhm.
But now you've retconned it to be, no, it's the pistol that Bix used to slaughter, Dr. Gorst.
Mhm.
And that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, but if it's the prop master retconning it, does that hold the same weight as say a Pablo Hidalgo?
Oh, why did you have to bring that guy
I don't know.
up? uh, uh, it would have more weight coming from the story group because that's their job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Their job is to make sure that all this stuff jives. But this show shows us it doesn't matter anymore because we just retconned the whole K2SO thing.
Mhm.
And that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But you're talking about two different, like, I don't want to start splitting hairs on what's more canon, what's less canon, but a live action movie has more weight than a comic book,
Mm.
right? It had a
Yeah.
bigger audience is going to be aware of that.
Okay. So here's how we fix this.
Okay. All right.
Cassian, we only get like a couple days out of the 1 year period, right?
Yeah.
He was in another battle. He got blasted, shell shocked, whatever, had to have his leg replaced. So he is now RoboCop, and Bix's blaster is
It's
just
in his
there
leg.
and whenever he needs it.
Oh, that's awesome.
maybe that he never actually fires that gun anywhere, so maybe that's just ornamental.
The 280?
I don't think he ever fires the 280. Maybe he does on Jeddah in that little firefight back and
Hmm.
forth.
Oh, he definitely does on Jeddah because he shoots one of Saw's partisans
Yeah,
off the building.
off the
Before he
roof. Yeah,
snipes out a.
Yeah,
but maybe it's maybe when he's doing his killing, he's got to use the Bix.
maybe,
I'm gonna
maybe.
go do some killing.
And here's the thing that bothers me, and this isn't a slight against anybody. I don't mean this in a personally, but it's like the same guy in the same thread goes on to say, "Oh yeah, yeah." He refers to this as the A300, and it's like, but that's not the
I
A300.
mean, it's his job to know different. It is. It is a very close
Well,
second.
the real world firearm is the same basis. It's the
Yeah,
same. It's the
and put side
M16,
by
the
each,
AR,
except for the muzzle variant. It's
the heavy duty barrel.
it's very similar.
The A300, when they're turning, K2 back on and Cassian says, "I'll take a weapon,"
Yeah, it's a
the
A300.
weapon that he takes from the guy, that's an A300,
Yes,
but this is the A280
it's a
convertible.
CFE.
That's the CFE from Rogue One that
Hmm.
puts he did have his weapon in the sniper configuration.
Mhm.
Unless we're now muddying the waters between, the 280 and the 300,
We
and
might
they are
be.
in fact the
Mhm.
same weapon, and, oh, by the way, you can also put a heavy barrel on it.
The show made us cry, but it also fucked up the weapon. So 9.8.
This is what happens when you make an entire video series out of Star Wars firearms. You just obsess over this
That's it.
stuff.
9.8 stars out of 10.
It loses a point too. Um, Best episode of season 2.
Oh,
um,
I don't know that I could pick one.
It is difficult. Best
Best arc.
three episode arc. How about that?
well,
You only got 4 weeks to pick from.
I'm gonna go with the Gorman week, the Gorman Massacre week.
Week 3.
Yes,
Yep. I agree. Week 3.
but I mean this one is like right on its heels though. Week 4.
this was so much more linear than those. I'd say week 3, with the caveat that the montage section of week 4 was
The
just
most emotional.
just an emotional, just it kicked me all over the room in different directions.
Episode 10 for me was the one that I think I didn't know I needed the most,
Mm.
and that's getting the answer to the who's who in the Luthen Clea relationship. I loved
She
her
became
origin.
main character in the last 3 episodes.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody have an MVP character that I know it's Cassian's name on the show, but
Clea,
Yeah,
Clea MVP of both seasons?
I think so.
Yeah.
the
Like, in
unknown player,
hindsight?
and then
The unknown
like
player.
yeah, because she's in more of an unknown player.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
she's my
okay.
assistant, but by the end, was like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah, her
she's
arc.
on equal footing or
She has the
above.
best character arc on both seasons. Absolutely.
Clea for both of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably Cassian for me.
Nice.
With Clay is like
Oh
neck
yeah.
and neck.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Cassian for me.
Yeah, Dedra is probably a close third. Just like the development of a character, the way you they were able to make me almost like her, and then pull it way back, and then dangle it again, and then pull it back. They did a lot of neat things with that character.
I guess we could.
First of all, I didn't expect them to main character bad guys. It's very rare when you
No,
see
no,
that's
yeah.
a very alternate take on Star Wars, is the perspective of the bad guy.
The last time we got it, I want to say was Callus, and he flipped, so he
Right.
wasn't really a bad guy when they did that.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we could stay on this all night, and we probably will talk about it. At least I know we'll talk about it in our group chat later on.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you one more question before we say goodnight. For each of you, if there was one element or one aspect of the show that you could have changed, what would it have been?
I would have played Cassian Andor.
You know, I don't know that I would change anything.
I don't know that I would
huh?
either.
Okay. All right. Doug says best Star Wars in forever.
I know you would have switched blasters, Wes.
Ah, that stuff that like I said, I'm picking the what?
The stuff
the
from the
out of
stuff.
the fly stuff.
Like
So I don't that bothers me on a pedantic level.
yeah,
That
yeah, yeah, yeah,
doesn't really
yeah,
matter.
yeah, yeah.
The one thing I would have changed, I would have done it the way they did it, and I would have had the Polaroid camera make it to like I would have had one scene where Mon is, even if she's not reading it, to know that
Mm.
she got it, that would have been
Mhm.
the bee's knees for me.
Come to think of it, though, I would have liked to see B get reunited with Cassian
Oh,
because like that little droid was so devoted. Where's Cassian? When's Cassian coming back?
I mean,
Cassian?
I like that Brasso told him the truth. You're gonna be happy. You're gonna have friends, and she'll take way better care of you than we ever could. And
Yeah.
it was
yeah,
real. And
yeah.
he's got a better life. That's
But then to
awesome.
get Bix back, that's got to be some kind of extra.
And the
Mhm.
baby, there's a like he's gonna have some affinity for that child too.
So,
Oh,
but
totally.
there's a so B is Clem and Marva's droid.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So imagine go back to when Cassian came into their life. How old was he? He was a young boy.
Yeah.
Right.
Now there's another child for him
Yeah, yeah,
to.
yeah.
To,
So that loyal dog analogy that we've made quite a
More
bit.
so with him than other droids too.
Right,
yeah.
right. And it's complete of course it is. I see it here in my own house with my own animals. When my grandchildren are here, my dogs think the baby, that's their baby,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
It's like,
So
oh,
of
you're
course.
treating that child like that? I will treat it like that
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
What's the next Star Wars property to drop, fellas?
Uh
I'm
it's
legit
uh
nervous now.
it's Fandom Power presents Back in Black series
No,
next
no,
Sunday.
like I know our
Next.
next thing, but what is
The
the
next
next?
Star Wars property,
Do we have to wait for Grogu and the?
I think it's Ahsoka season 2.
Is it Ahsoka season 2? Or is it the?
right.
It might be Visions, which
Could be
isn't
Visions.
canon,
Next
or
season of Visions. Unless there's a
oh,
surprise.
the Maul series. I'm
Oh
sorry,
yeah.
the Maul
Shadow
Oh,
Lord.
Shadow
series.
Lord, which is next year or late this year.
Yeah,
Somewhere
late
in
this
there.
year. I think it's late this year. I
Again,
as
makes me
good as
nervous,
this
but
was, I am super nervous about the quality of Star Wars moving forward. I don't know whether this lets them open the floodgates and go, yes, we can spend $500 million and make people happy. Let's keep doing it. Or if nothing can ever be this good again. It's man, it's bittersweet for me. It was
there's
almost too good.
the style though. Like nobody, I don't think anybody could have predicted that a spy thriller in the Star Wars setting
Universe.
would have hit the way it did.
Mm.
But like I always get a kick out of each week going through the IMDb of who's the director this week, who's the writer this week, what have they worked on, and knowing that this series brought together like
A world of influence.
yeah,
Like a varying influence.
knowing that we had a documentarian
Hmm.
making Star Wars and his episodes played like a documentary added a layer of depth that I just didn't realize would be so satisfying in Star Wars.
Mm.
So like I guess what I'm saying is Lucasfilm, if this was a test bed for can we take chances? The answer is yes. Keep taking them, but God, just get the right people.
How about
You,
this? We'll pitch it for them. The next one they take on should be a comedy, and it should be set in Blast Pro Shop.
Star Wars comedy could
It
be fun.
it could be fun.
Could be
Like
I
fun.
just
mean,
everyday people in the
Robot
galaxy
Chicken
work.
and the like have proved that it can work.
Yes.
I agree with you on that.
Everybody loves the Star Wars meme.
What the hell's an aluminum falcon?
Yeah. He's
Stormtrooper.
crying. He's crying.
Uh,
I'm okay.
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
okay.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
You would have loved it the most.
That being said, I am sad to see it go. I will definitely look back on this fondly. Like I said last week, hey, remember that time when we got a Star Wars movie every week for a month?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think your rewatch is going to be on something like this, though?
I'm gonna do a once more while it's still fresh in my mind because I've just watched Rogue One again, so now I wanna go and do the entire series,
Mm.
both seasons back to back.
Now, I've heard something that they are bringing part of this to theaters,
I heard that as well.
and
There's an
it would be
anniversary of, next year is the 10-year anniversary for Rogue One, and
yeah,
there'll be some version of Andor going to theaters
and it would be nice to see like a
with
weird
it.
cut, right? Like cut the first chunk off of Rogue One with Jyn Erso getting,
Okay.
found by Saw,
You're being rescued.
yeah,
Don't resist.
and then put that in front, and then let some events from Andor play out, and cut it back into Rogue One like some supercut.
Maybe, maybe.
It'll be on YouTube in a couple of days.
I
Yeah,
would like to see, and I know we may never get this stuff, but I want all of the alternate takes and any unused footage. I want it all.
yeah.
Yeah. I want a security detail 24/7 on Tony Gilroy. Nobody touch him.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Let
I'd
him
like
live
to.
forever.
So, does anybody has anybody been really interested in checking out Tony Gilroy's catalog of stuff
I
now that
now I am.
Hmm.
you know
I
he was
certainly
involved
am.
in the Bourne franchise?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
so go back and rewatch those. Man, I am absolutely tickled by what Andor gave us. I feel like it was an absolute treat.
What a ride!
I don't
Yeah.
know if we'll ever get another Star Wars property that hits
Mm.
on this kind of level.
No,
And
maybe
maybe
not.
we don't need another one. Maybe this is just
No.
a once in a lifetime enigma.
I mean, is it indicative that if as good as it is, does it hit? So I guess this is a question for people that have never really enjoyed Star Wars. Because for me, this hits so well, not only because of its quality in all the categories I mentioned earlier tonight, the
Yeah,
writing, the directing, the cinematography, the effects, the acting,
yeah.
but because it ties back directly to the heart of Star Wars. And do, is there any truth to that for you guys, that the things that connect directly back to that Skywalker saga just feel better in your
I
chest, I
know for
guess?
me, like part of the reason why I think I enjoyed the Bad Batch more than I enjoyed the Clone Wars, and I enjoyed Rebels more than I enjoyed the Clone Wars because it's within that time period of Star Wars that I think I'm most familiar with.
Yeah, yeah.
That also taps into my affinity and my affection for the role-playing game, which was written sort of contemporarily in that same what we would have called the rebellion era.
It was happening in real time.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So when Star Wars is close, it doesn't have to be about the Skywalkers,
No,
but when
no,
it's
no. But
close to them,
exactly when it can weave its way back in and out without being insisting upon
Without,
itself.
yeah,
yeah, when I can sit at home and I can be the Leo DiCaprio meme, oh,
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah,
mm,
I like that. And I bet you though, I bet you for the generation just behind us, I bet you it's like that for the prequels for those guys.
yeah,
yeah. The time always sheds different light on that. I think you might even find kids that are right into the sequels in 20 years, 15 years.
yeah.
That's
I
their Star
firmly
Wars journey.
believe that there will be a whole lot of forgiveness on those movies in another, 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then in the meantime, we got a bunch of new stuff to look forward to. So
Hmm.
Mandalorian and Grogu,
Starfighter.
yeah, Starfighter, and then the first Jedi,
Yeah.
whatever we're
Mhm.
calling that one. I can't remember what it's called.
The,
Dawn of
Ray-
the
the
Jedi.
Ray the Ray
Jedi
movie.
Reborn.
Dawn of the Jedi. The Ray thing. I don't know what's happening with that. That seems to have been sort of quieted. There hasn't been a lot of talk about that.
Hmm.
Well, they had to wait till Andor was over. Don't want to distract from it.
You do make a good point. We
Because
can't.
like all the media, like their press tours and everything has been super
Andor,
focused and
Andor,
super
Andor,
informative.
Andor,
Well, it's
Andor.
smart too. You get like this like little cultural thing happening, and it's best to jump on it while it's hot.
Yeah.
One last thing
Smart.
before we go. One last thing before we go, and this is another one of those. Hey, we've all watched Rogue One recently, and we talked about this earlier today, Hank. I want to talk about it with the audience. For anybody who was of the impression like Rogue One or A New Hope is like minutes, after Rogue One? I don't think so.
Well, she at the very least she gets the plans and then just cruises off,
Well,
right?
that's it. One, we don't see Vader's ship go after her. We
No.
just see him
He doesn't
standing
jump
there.
after her, no.
He's standing there in the hangar of the Profundity, watching as the Tantive flies away.
Yeah.
But there's a line in A New Hope. The whole we're on a diplomatic mission.
Yeah.
In order for that line to be even remotely plausible, there has to be a gap in time where she's gotten away and now they've resumed the chase for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What's the distance from Scarif to Tatooine?
What system do they put it in? That's a good question. But you know when they started messing with hyperspace travel.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And now it moves at the speed of plot.
This is
What
true.
system are you in? The Abrian sector in the Imperial Navy exclusion zone. Outer Rim territories. The Slice. That's Scarif. Tatooine. No, my phone did not write what I wanted. There we go. Tatooine. Outer Rim, Galactic Frontier, Spice Triangle. The Slice.
So they're close.
Arcanus
very close.
sector. Arcanus sector.
Mm.
But I mean, hyperspace travel is now minutes and seconds, depending on what you need it to be. So,
well, that's why you got to have a flight path.
We went to Peridia in what?
A couple days.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
What a show.
5 weeks ago, we left you with a jumble of action figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I got to go and check my notes. But I believe I've got at least one more in the bank ready to go.
Woo!
Next Sunday.
So we will be back.
The Porkins is back, baby.
Them chin straps off.
That's right. The Porkins medals will be back. So I'll have to get those up actually this week. What it's going to be. That being said, always looking for your feedback on what other Star Wars properties or other Star Wars content you would like to see us cover. We've kicked around some ideas of getting back to season 2 of Ewoks. I want to cover droids at some point. We have talked about doing an entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
Some people in the real world were really hip to our idea of covering a podcast that covers a podcast.
A podcast that covers a podcast.
Yeah. So a couple people were like, that's a good idea.
That's an interesting idea. And maybe with our friend here at Imperial Activity telling us to check out the Cantina cast, maybe we'll go and check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out.
All right. Either way, we are back next Sunday. It's going to be Back in Black series. And I believe, if I recall correctly,
I think
it's another round of exclusives.
Yeah, so. Just before Wave 10.
Another round of exclusives.
We're still in 2017, though, right? Or right at the tail end of 2016?
Yes. Yeah, 2017. 2017, they're still $19.99 US.
Those were
the heady days.
Those were the days. Those were the days. And yes, Josh, Andy and I will be here. Andy and I will be here on Tuesday night for
episode 101.
101.
Josh? What's your?
You can't put it in the comments.
Lyric? What's your misheard lyric?
You can't put it in the comments.
You can't give it away before
you can give us the misheard lyric.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, fair.
The misheard part.
Yeah,
but then you'll have to email us the real
correct
answer.
answer.
The correct
yeah.
answer. As always, if you have any thoughts you want to share with us at the show, you can reach out to us by email. It's fandompower3@gmail.com.
Or you can find us all on the socials there.
We're all on all of those.
Which way is it? It's this way.
All right, everybody. I'm going to wrap it up here. Do you guys have anything else you want to say before we say goodnight?
This has been fun, man. Like Hank says,
it has been the bread and butter of our show, these deep dive reviews, and I don't see them ever coming to an end for us.
No.
But I will lament that we don't get to do this next week.
Yeah.
All right.
More figures.
All right, guys. Remember, whatever your thing is, and I know you have a thing, it's probably Star Wars if you're here. Fan on, everybody. And for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Hank.
And we will see you on the next one. Bye for now, everybody.